Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Happy belated Mother's Day, I should say, for all of you who we didn't wish Happy Mother's Day last week, or if you missed us. Love our mothers. Certainly we do.
That we do.
And so that was, what a weekend it was for a lot of reasons, and a ton of it involving Florida State sports. Get to it momentarily. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. If you do, go back, get caught up. All 3 hours posted upon the conclusion of the show. We're also on iTunes, and you can find the show on our audio vault. You can email us, jcs@979espnradio.com. On Twitter, it's at @JCameronShow. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Periscopers. Again, thanks for joining us. Busy weekend. Let's start with Florida State baseball right off the bat. They got 3 wins that they desperately needed. It was more about Mike Martin's last series at home at Dick Howser Stadium, Mike Martin Field. Possibly, probably, likely, very likely. That was it. That's all. And a chance to kind of take a step back and really soak it all in and remind ourselves just how much winning that man has done in the Garnet and Gold and how much success he has had here at Florida State University, to the tune of winning over 70% of Florida State's all-time wins in baseball and being the winningest coach in NCAA history. He's a guy that obviously loves Florida State University, and no matter the debate you have about when it was time for Florida State to move on or when it was time for Mike Martin to call it quits, there is no denying the oodles of success and the passion and love for the university. And it was again on display over the weekend as he said goodbye. And I'll tell you something else that was on display, a touching video. I did not go to the Saturday night event, so I didn't see it until Sunday. But the pinned letter from Carol Martin to her husband, Mike Martin, is something. If you haven't seen it, go find it. I'm sure it's on at FSU Baseball.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, it is
Twitter.
It is. It'll choke you up. It'll choke you up. That is a remarkable scene, a remarkable video, and she is all class. I have had the good fortune of speaking to her many times over the years. I'm not saying we're buddy-buddy or anything like that. I'm just saying that whenever I've spoken to her, she is the epitome of class and dignity. And she is somebody that I think has always not only been right by her husband's side and her son's side and her family's side, has she been really the rock of that family, but she is somebody that has always carried herself with the utmost of dignity and respect. And so she is somebody that you talk about the first lady of Florida State baseball without question.
Yeah, it struck me because obviously Mother's Day being yesterday, but then also this is for my mom and dad. Today is their 47th wedding anniversary.
Happy anniversary to the Langs.
That is
fantastic.
You're defying the odds, spending 47 years with the same person, but congratulations to them on that. But that's just when I heard, their story, and you watch that and you think about 50 years, I'm thinking, well, I can kind of see that. I can almost have an appreciation for what that is. And
it's beautiful love affair.
It's rare and special, and it's something to be treasured, and I'm glad that they had the opportunity to do so in each other's company yesterday.
And I'm glad that in many ways, and I know this was a send-off to Mike Martin, and he has received many tributes, and rightfully so, but I am glad that yesterday, in many ways, was also about, almost equally so, her. I was touched by that too,
yeah.
And congratulations to them, and congratulations to Mike Martin on an incredible career. You can't overstate what the man has meant to the university and what he has done to impact not just college baseball, but really the sport, but across the board in the NCAAs, to have coaches like that, the mentors of young men, the guys that represent the game and the student athletes and the university the right way is seldom seen. So as Noles, we can only appreciate what a fine representation he has been. So I was nostalgic, without question. I think everybody was. And look, even for those, and I know that there is a large contingent of people who are ready to move on, and they're not saying anything personally against Coach Martin, but they're just ready for a new set of eyes to look on the product or whatever it might be. I get it. There's room for debate and all of that. But even amongst that group, certainly they had to have formed a great appreciation and admiration for what the man has done for Florida State University. How could you not? He's synonymous with the sport.
Well, and his media availability yesterday, which was close to 20 minutes, it was lined with emotion, with the different questions reacting to obviously the Saturday night event with the roast, but it was also just a celebration of all things Mike Martin and his relationship with Florida State. But Allison Posey from TXL asked him about what's the thing you're going to remember the most about today, specifically Sunday, the final day, and he said,
Carol coming into the dugout.
Yeah, she came down because she doesn't do stuff like that.
Yeah, I know.
And but it was just cool because it's almost like you hear a boyfriend or a young husband talking about his soulmate there in just a brief moment. He wasn't wearing a Florida State uniform and the hat. You just hear about the man, and to see the family man come through a little bit this weekend was really, really cool. And now it's, that is passed. What can you do on the road at Louisville? What can you do in the ACC title or championships to better your resume, to get the best regional possible to go maybe make a run?
Yeah, let's not get lost in the fact there's more baseball to be played. Just because it won't be at Dick Howser Stadium, Mike Martin Field, doesn't mean we aren't still going to be in tune with Florida State baseball. They've got an opportunity to kind of write the final chapter of this season, this send-off to Mike Martin, in a way that could leave us all proud. We'll see. They don't seem like the likely bunch to go on a tear in the postseason. We've certainly documented that all year long, but stranger things have happened. This has been a weird team. They did win all 3 games this weekend. That was highly necessary. Now I think we can rest easy about whether or not they make the postseason. It's just a matter of whether or not they're able to upgrade their seed there in the ACC tournament this weekend against Louisville by taking care of business up there. If that happens, it would be somewhat surprising, but it was just a couple of years ago they surprised and did exactly that, and then went on a tear in the ACC and then went on a tear in the regionals. So, let's see.
Well, I think also, too, this is kind of this weird middle ground where I think for the team, and I use this word kind of literally, not lined with negativity, a burden is lifted off their shoulders.
I thought the same thing. It has to have been a bit of a trying season. No matter how many times that I'm sure Mike Martin Jr., the rest of that staff, the athletic department, no matter who's a part of that baseball program, I'm sure they told these kids, listen, the onus is not on you. Just because this happens to be the final season for Mike Martin, a legend, it doesn't mean that you have to be the ones to win it all. We'd certainly love that, but that's not what you think about on a day-to-day basis. It's about getting better, playing the best baseball you possibly can. We'll let the chips fall where they may. That's fine, but the reality is they're not blind. They're not deaf. They can see and hear the things that are said about the legend that is Mike Martin, the season that they're involved in, the pressures that come with all of that. I would think now that, listen, this is it. In some ways, a lot of people will say it's freeing to play on the road. Everything they'll accomplish moving forward, it would appear, is going to have to come on the road.
Yeah, I think pressure would return if you get to a regional or certainly a super regional, and then, well, I mean, if you did, wow.
No, I don't think. Listen, yeah, there's always pressure in postseason play. I'm not going to say there isn't pressure, but I think that there would be more pressure if somehow the chips fell where they were able to say, spring an upset as a 3 seed on the road, wherever you want to say it is. Say they came out of that regional and the one that they were paired with was supposed to host and the 1 seed lost there. It's happened before, and you found your way back at Dick Howser. To me, in a weird way, A, that would be shocking. B, I think it would be accompanied by immense pressure to get out of that. I almost want them to play on the road, frankly. I know coaches and players would probably say, nope, no way, no how. I'd always rather be in my backyard with our home fans. They have certainly championed how great the fans are here. Sleep in your own bed type stuff. I get all of that. I don't know. Maybe it's just best to take it on down the road.
Probably splitting hairs. I think if you got to a super, the pressure would return, and then certainly to Omaha, the pressure would be squarely right back on your shoulders because could you do it?
You're just not supposed to win, though. They know that.
But for now and for the ACC and for a regional, there's no pressure. None whatsoever, and I think they've been carrying that with them everywhere they go. I mean, most every stop on the season, when you're going on a road trip, somebody's giving Mike a gift. Yeah. Because they're saying so long, and you feel that week in and week out. And now you can just go worry about playing baseball, like truly.
Florida State has taken home another title. Let's switch it over to FSU softball. The Noles get it done. I mean, 4 years in a row, 5 of the last 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, and now they're a 4 seed nationally. It is something to watch with this team and their consistency, so much so that in many ways I've compared it to the way we used to take for granted the successes on the baseball diamond for the men's. We now do so with the women's because they are the model of consistency. And ACC champions again, and that's 6 years in a row for ACC champions, right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, I believe it's 6 in a row for the ACC.
Yeah,
so you were talking about a national seed.
I was talking about national.
Okay,
seed.
yes.
I saw the look of concern. I'm like, I didn't get that wrong. I know that's right. You're like, my host is losing it.
I thought you were giving him you were one light in the ACC titles department.
No.
They got a 6-pack of those.
No, I knew that. I knew that. I don't even count these ACC championships. We win that every freaking year.
Well, remember, we broke Pitt's heart last year, though, because they weren't getting in the tournament, and we ended up coming back on them. And we were certainly going to be a national seed anyway.
You're right about that.
That's a little brutal.
That was brutal, yeah.
Ouch.
The reigning national champions are a 4 seed, and they are also ACC champions. And now we'll watch as they get set to play. I think I ought not take for granted those successes because it can be easy to do so when they win with such great regularity and they produce the All-Americans and the elite players that they have and they're the reigning national champions. You kind of just feel like, oh, well, the ACC, that's they got that. And they'll win this regional too. Bethune-Cookman, USF, forget about it. We got all this. Never gets old. Keep on keeping on. Yeah. What a program that team is.
Well, and we've been a really good program for a really, really long time, a top 8 program like you're talking about 5 out of 6 years. But remember how hard it was to win the title in Oklahoma City last year.
Hell yeah.
A lot of things had to go our way and a lot of big moments.
Yeah, you had your all-time great player making an all-time great play that will live in the annals of Florida State lore forevermore.
But you're talking about big at-bats and one-run games, and obviously with some amazing pitching coming from these other schools that were in Oklahoma City, UCLA chief amongst them. The late-night heroics here in Tallahassee against an LSU team that was really good. It's hard. It's really hard to get back there, and this sport is as entertaining as it's ever been. And so if you can make some plans this weekend, be sure to go by the softball complex and either watch it in the complex or they do watch it right there in the grass outside or the parking garage across the street. It's a pretty cool feel.
If I watch from the parking garage across the street.
Yes.
Okay. I'll see you there.
The answer is yes.
We got golf regionals underway up at Myrtle Beach for Florida State. A lot going on there. We've got football news to talk about. We've got it's a lot dealing with Florida State. And, of course, we were privileged to watch and behold, man, if you like basketball even a little bit and you like drama and competition and suspense, what you got with the Game 7s yesterday, holy moly, that was fun. We'll talk about that as well. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Limited edition commemorative baseballs, t-shirts, and caps in stock right now. And while you're here, check out Nike's hot new line of FSU baseball jerseys, tees, and ball caps. Garnet and gold with 3 locations: West Pensacola Street, Collard, and Governor Square Boulevard. If you're a Seminole, we're your store. Shop local and go Noles.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Hey, welcome to this Subway ad for the new club collection. How do you want it?
I'll take a book club.
Absolutely.
So, last week we sunk our teeth into Subway's meaty new release, the Steak Club.
I didn't finish it yet.
Oh, not again, Sandra. This week, it's the new Southwest Chicken Club, also by Subway. No spoilers, but there's a tasty twist.
Jalapeno cheddar bread and guacamole?
Sandra, get out. Subway, make it what you want.
Good ending.
Limited time only at participating restaurants.
Every day, vegetables are ripped from the earth, sliced, diced, even something called julienne. But for just $5 a day, you can help. Get 2 Hardee's Original Roast Beef Sandwiches for just $5. Slow-cooked beef, hand-dipped in rich au jus, each prepared without harming a single vegetable. So come to Hardee's, get 2 Original Roast Beef Sandwiches, and save the veggies. Hardee's, because it tastes better. Available for a limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating restaurants. Tax not included. Price and participation may vary.
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
And now, the worst commercial ever.
Say, Jan, as a fellow respected small business professional, I wonder, who do you use for commercial auto and business insurance?
Progressive, of course. They helped with a customized insurance solution for my busy florist company.
I'm so glad we had this chance encounter in this busy restaurant.
Yes, that fake conversation was brutal. Whereas commercial auto and business insurance through Progressive is anything but. Visit progressivecommercial.com to quote today. Insurance provided and serviced by Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. It's affiliated and third-party insurers.
And now, a quick comparison from Grasshopper. When a client calls, what do you want them to hear? Your personal voicemail?
Hey, you've reached Greg's cell phone. I'm away right now, obviously. Leave a message and maybe I'll get back to you.
Or something a little more buttoned up, courtesy of Grasshopper.
Thanks for calling Green Landscaping. To make an appointment, dial 1. For billing, dial 2. To speak with Greg Smith, dial 3.
There's no contest. Put your best voice forward with Grasshopper, the virtual phone system for small business. Try it free at grasshopper.com.
In 2019, our Atlanta Braves are looking to defend their National League East title, and we'll bring you every play from this epic season.
And a drive to right field. That ball is tagged. That ball is gone into the chop house. Ozzie Albies strikes back.
Atlanta Braves baseball on 97.9 ESPN Radio is brought to you by Fonville, Lewis, Messer and McConaughey, Bagel Market Bistro, and by Early Trucking Company in Arlington, Georgia. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
That is a strange hire indeed for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'll get to that later. I'm not that interested in discussing John Beilein to the Cavaliers, but Michigan loses a good head coach, and the Cavaliers hire a 66-year-old man to try to relate to young players. Okay. Good luck with that. To the games that matter, they were on display yesterday. We had a 17-point comeback with Portland in what at one point seemed unlikely. And then, of course, we had the capper, which was simply amazing. It's Kawhi Leonard's walk-off, first ever buzzer beater, Game 7 in NBA history, and that's going to sting a while if you're a Philadelphia fan. And now you got real question marks about what you're going to do moving forward. You got 3 big-time free agents in the form of Tobias Harris, obviously, who clanged this postseason through. J.J. Redick, I don't know if you want to bring him back at that number. They've got a lot of question marks as to what they're going to do. I think either way. Also Butler. Sorry, Butler is the biggest one. So Butler's a free agent as well. So they can't look like they just got done looking. They're going to have to make some changes, and they might make a change at the head coaching position as well. Those last few possessions were pretty brutal, including one coming out of the timeout. It's not all on him, though. It's not all on Brett Brown. I mean, listen, your superstar, Joel Embiid's got to get in shape. He's not in shape. And he's always tired, always ailing in some way. Won't set up shop down in the post. He's out here at the top trying to pick and pop. Stop it. You're 7 feet tall. Get down low. He also couldn't procure an offensive rebound down the stretch. That's why Toronto kept getting extra possessions time and again. Toronto made some great substitutions to get big, but I need my 7-footer to make plays.
Well, if you look at the shot disparity, just the field goal chart, I know that Philly shoots a lot more free throws than Toronto does in this game, but it's crazy. I mean, it's because of all those offensive rebounds, the offensive glass. Toronto went absolutely nuts in this game.
89 shot attempts compared to 65 for the Sixers.
There you go.
The exercise with the Toronto Raptors going 16 offensive boards. 16 offensive boards tells me, again, my 7-footer guy's got to get down there and get some boards.
But you're taking 24 extra shots from the field, and you win on a buzzer beater.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Toronto sat Danny Green's ass on the bench and went big. Said, here's what we're going to do, and let's see what you do. You're going to give us extra rebounds, what you're going to do, especially when your superstar Embiid's got his hands on his knees the whole game. That would drive me nuts because he's such a transcendent superstar. You got weird questions you got to ask now. I mean, you can fire the coach, but then again, I mean, I don't know if that's really on him. Simmons can't score in the fourth quarter once again. Zilch in the fourth because he can't shoot, so they don't even guard him. So it's 4-on-5.
0 shots outside of the paint the entire series. That is a stat.
I mean, at some point, I'm going to need him to be able to shoot again, though he's young. He's 22, so you don't turn your back on him completely. Harris was a dud. You probably let him go. That's a weird team, and they've got to be hurting right now because again, this was theirs, but let's not ignore the main story. The main story again is that because he played all of 9 games a year ago, we forgot how freaking good, or maybe we forgot to some degree, how freaking good Kawhi Leonard is. It's funny, people bring up that, well, he's the best I've heard the quote, he's the best two-way player in the NBA. It's an insult to people who just bothered to play the game the way it's meant to be played to call somebody a two-way player. It's just note that if you are a star, you're expected to do it on both ends. Your greatest players of all time did it on both ends of the floor. Michael Jordan was an elite defender. Kobe could defend. I mean, these guys defend because that's the game of basketball. You defend.
Yeah, what's LeBron's number one highlight of his career?
Oh, that block is...
For me, it's the block.
It's unbelievable. He completely negated Steph's presence in that series. Once they were down 3-1, it's swatting everything under the sun.
We're talking about this series, but I think the highlight of the day yesterday was McCollum's block in the first game that was played out in the West Coast.
Yeah, no, it spoke to the afternoon he was having, but yes, unbelievable. That guy chose a good time to have the game of his career.
Oh, man.
You would have thought he was Jordan. Speaking of Jordan, now he could miss. It was everything, creating, defense, you name it. But, yeah, I mean, that's what a superstar does, is he is a two-way, quote-unquote, player. Yeah, well, that's the game, man. I don't get to just take off on the defensive end, and so many people do, and that's why they can never ascend to that level of truly great player. But the all-time greats defended their ass off, and Kawhi Leonard does that, and he did so in 40-plus. I mean, he's something to behold.
I always thought David Ortiz was a great two-way player.
I mean, I keep watching Kawhi on both ends of the floor, and I wonder where the energy comes from on the offensive end. Now, the funny thing about this game, and this happens a lot of times when you don't have really experienced teams that have been there and done that. If you've got two teams that aren't accustomed to playing in Game 7s, have real young stars, and maybe don't have that guy, the tendency is to defer. It got to comedic levels watching Toronto yesterday and its players deciding to pass the basketball the second it arrived. It happened time and again, and I get it. You're going to defer to a superstar who can create and who has been in big games, and Kawhi has. But superstars also know that it's necessary to find a ride-and-die guy to go along with you, because at times you're going to need a respite. So you'll watch the star players early in these games. These are guys that know the onus is on them. But they're also guys that say, okay, if I can find out whether Jerry is hot today, I'll have an opportunity to defer in moments and let him shoot. You always need that guy you can fall back on that you can trust, is not afraid to take the shot and or will knock down the open look if I create it for him. Toronto, they were all like, no, thanks. No, we're good here. You got this, buddy. And so somewhere in this game, Kawhi, primarily in the second half, after having a shaky first half, decided, all right, well, I'm going to have to take 39 shots. 39 shots. Ordinarily, we'd criticize you for being inefficient, but if you watch the game, because, again, if you watch the game, you would wonder how it was I could be critical. Okay, so let's look at it this way. He takes 39 shots. Somebody would say, well, Jeff, you're always ripping Harden. Watch the games. Watch when you have to have it, when a guy has to take over, when other guys are deferring, how they're being defended, all of those things. Because Embiid, if you look at the plus-minus stat sheet, was outstanding. If you watch the game, he wasn't outstanding. So those things matter too. And Kawhi realizing, I'm going to have to score, I'm going to have to be the guy, and he became the guy and did what he does.
And that was like in Game 6. I mean, if you look at the plus-minus, Embiid was plus 44. And the world was saying that he's back to form. Like, well, I mean, kinda. I mean, he wasn't a negative player in this game. But you mean to tell me his 15 and 11 is worth like talking about like it's Shaq's 30 and 20 or something?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
I don't know if there's something physically wrong with him or if it's something as simple as he is just out of shape. But he is excessively tired. I mean, and I will say this. I know people hear me go in that voice and you think, here it comes. He's got a new guy to pick on. Well, for starters, nobody talks more smack than that dude. And he's not been out of the second round of the playoffs. So that can stop. All that trolling and tweeting and all that nonsense, he can stop with that. They don't go anywhere. So he should just shut the hell up and try winning a series that matters. Secondly, again, when you have that kind of talent, a lot is expected of you. And he is truly a unique talent. People they're not built that way and able to do the things he does when he's right. The problem is I need him to be right in the postseason. I need him to be right in the fourth quarter. I need him to be the man when we need a rebound. I need you to be the guy, and we all know the difference. See Steph's second half and knocking out Houston, 33 points after throwing up a donut in the first half. They had to have him. It worked in such a way that after Klay Thompson carried them for the entire first half, adjustments were made. Houston wasn't going to let Klay kill them the rest of the game, and so Steph had to make shots, and boy, did he, and man, did he in the fourth. This is how this is why we get on Harden. Now, look, Houston as a whole losing to Golden State on Friday night isn't the end of the world. I mean, nobody beats Golden State. Houston's just on that list of teams that got real close, that gave themselves a chance and thus piqued interest enough where people think it could be done. Because remember last year, again, if Chris Paul doesn't pull a hamstring, there's a chance Houston wins last year. We all remember that. So we keyed in on this moment. You've got the MVP. You've got a guy that was absolutely unstoppable during the regular season. So we all assumed maybe, just maybe, this was the year. And then, of course, Harden goes down. Durant goes down. And you think, well, here you go, and they lose at home. But if you take a step back, you say, then again, Golden State is in a dynastic run.
Right.
In the East,
only LeBron, or maybe if J.R. Smith, knew how to handle the end of a game situation.
Makes me think of the audio. What are you doing? But then, again, in the East, you flip back over here, you're thinking that Sixers team, this was your time certainly to move past the second round. Well, I got decisions. This is going to be...
Not yet.
No.
It's Kawhi's time.
Yeah, well, Kawhi is special, and now Toronto, really, they're treated to the greatest moment in their franchise's history with that shot falling. I can't recall a shot. Now, certainly, I mean, statistically speaking, we already know it's the first ever Game 7 buzzer beater in NBA history. So it's literally true you can't recall a shot like that. But I don't recall a shot like that ever to win a game. To bounce 4 times on the rim?
No, but we've seen some weird ones this year as Knowles. The Fiondu Kabengele 3 from the corner against LSU.
So one bounce high and then in.
But it went off the front of the rim. I mean,
it was strange, but it wasn't
physics-wise, that's rare. And then Terrence Mann had a weird one, too, from the corner.
Well, that was just a really impossible shot that he made.
But, no, you could have, I don't even know. You could have sung the national anthem in the time it took.
Watching that, you'll never see that. It's a little bit like Tiger's chip-in, at the Masters. Like, we're all sitting, we had time to look at each other. Like, well, is that going to go in? You don't have time to do that when somebody takes a shot at the end of a game. It's nuts.
I didn't see that live. It's the Tiger thing. I was on the golf course, and
what was going on?
My dad and I were going golfing because we thought it was over. We thought it was already over, and so there wasn't any need to watch the conclusion of the Masters, and we wanted to get out and go play. And so we did, because nobody's on the course. We're like, man, nobody's on the course. We could just hop out right now. And 3 homes all simultaneously screamed bloody murder. And we thought, oh, my God, is there something wrong? And then we heard it was celebration, but it was scary. And then we realized what had happened.
It's cool because this is only the second round. So therefore, that Tiger chip is obviously much bigger in the big scheme of things.
Hell, even 16 this year, you've got time to look around and say, oh my God. Because when it hits the green, you're like, well, that's coming down. You just don't know how close it's going to get.
It's true. Golly.
That's his hole.
I still go back and say, thank goodness that didn't go in. I don't think he wins if it goes in. Can you imagine the adrenaline rush in that moment if that goes in? How in the world are you calm?
He has a massive coronary. That's it. That's how, man, but wouldn't that be the most legendary way to go out? With a hole-in-one on 16 at Augusta.
Except for you don't get credit for the win at the
And
Masters.
Vern goes, I'm going to join them. It doesn't get better than this, Tiger.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right, well, we'll speaking of golf.
That was dark, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, I have worried about it. There have been a couple of moments where his excessive breaths into the mic
and you
as
hear
we're
the
waiting
chair
to
squeak, you're like, did he fall out of the
what's
chair?
What's going on over there? Yeah, no. I can further this conversation once we get back on track and not thinking about Vern keeling over it. Besides, it's PGA Championship week,
For
buddy.
par.
We got the PGA Championship this week. How awesome is it that they switched the schedule, man?
No,
This is ideal. We're not waiting forever and a day. We turn right around and get to it. Bethpage Black.
Look at the groupings.
The groupings are incredible. Francesco Molinari, Tiger Woods, Brooks Koepka, all in one group. Go look at the others during the break. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Beeline to make the University of Michigan coach their new head coach. This according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. The 66-year-old Beeline, who's been entertaining thoughts about the NBA for several years, considered one of the elite teachers in basketball. So now Michigan begins its coaching search, and a potential candidate could be a former Wolverine, says ESPN's Seth Greenberg.
Juwan Howard, a member of one of the great Michigan teams of all time, who's an assistant coach in the NBA right now. Tad Boyle at Colorado, a very close friend of John Beeline's. Shaka Smart, as would probably Steve Wojciechowski, who is the head coach at Marquette right now.
Golf 3 days before he tees off in his first tournament since winning the Masters. Tiger Woods got to work early today at Bethpage Black, the site of this week's 101st PGA Championship. Tiger won the 2002 U.S. Open at Bethpage. This will mark the 6th time in Woods' career he comes to a major championship, not having played a tournament since the previous major. UFC star Conor McGregor no longer facing criminal charges in Florida for allegedly smashing and stealing a man's phone in March. Miami prosecutors dropped one charge of felony robbery and one of misdemeanor criminal mischief after the accuser stopped cooperating. NFL quarterback Geno Smith expected to sign with the Seahawks. He'll be competing for the backup job there with Paxton Lynch.
Not only does this taste well, if you're at Bumpa's Local 349, first of all, just saying the word lavash is awesome. It also tastes great because what it is it's topped with olive oil and garlic and Havarti cheese and Parmesan, and it's just damn delicious. But more than anything else, I'm glad it's good, because if it wasn't, I'd be so sad, because I'd want to say lavash. When they come over and they say, what do you want? I go, lavash! Listen, the menu's got burgers, it's got wings, it's got salads, it's got pastas, it's got ribs, it's got all the good stuff. It's got a bologna sandwich. It's got a bologna sandwich.
The penne alla vodka. This is interesting.
That's damn tasty.
It is damn tasty. It's not something that I'm picky when I eat.
You are.
My pop is a huge fan of penne alla vodka, and he says you got to have it done just
perfect.
right.
Theirs is perfect.
The reputation for that has made it into 3 different conversations I've been involved in over the last 2 months in Tallahassee. It's ridiculous.
Bumpa's Local 349. Good food, good people. Go see them. They're on Capitol Circle. Good stuff.
Hendrick.
New way to buy, new roads to drive. The all-new Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet has reinvented the car buying experience. So find new roads in your new Chevrolet today or shop DaleEarnhardtJr.Chevy.com.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
We're back with a state champion. That's right, a state champion head coach. His name is Titus Nixon. He is the basketball coach at St. John Paul II Catholic High School. Coach, how long have you been involved with athletics at JP2?
So I've been involved for 8 years as a coach. I was an assistant, and then 2 years as the girls basketball coach. And then I just completed my 5th year as the boys basketball coach. I also spent my junior and senior years as a student at JP2 in the early years of the school's beginning.
What does it say, though, about the culture of an institution that you graduate from there almost 15 years ago, but here you are still spending your time back at that school?
I think it says a lot. The fact that my wife didn't graduate from JP2, but we both felt drawn back to help in some way. And we weren't even living in Tallahassee, and we always had this thought of, man, it would be so neat if I could go back and help in some way. And when I was named the coach 5 years ago, it was very special, and people thought I was crazy when I said in 5 years we're going to win a state championship. Maybe even I thought I was a little crazy, and it was just so cool to see the program develop over these last 5 years. And we've seen that in many of the sports at JP2. We have so many committed coaches, so many committed teachers that really lay it all on the line day in and day out to try to provide a great atmosphere and a lifelong positive experience for these students in their high school years.
Coach, thanks for your time. For more information about athletics, academics, student life, visit sjpiichs.org for St. John Paul II Catholic High School.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Staying pat, right? I mean, we are in an era, certainly, where you talk about the failures of a player or a team in excess because, listen, we have 24-hour sports coverage. It's what's going to happen. You see how quickly it's been a complaint of mine over the last several years that we're so quick to try to categorize one's career and where they rank. I mean, it's the world of ranking. It's a world of lists. It's, how quickly can we put a label on what a player is or is not? And you have to catch yourself on that front because I can be guilty of it too. We fall in line sometimes.
I'm not saying we don't all do it, but we've got two great examples. One is a team example where you have Paul Pierce saying that the series is over, that Boston has beaten Milwaukee after game one. That's been run ad nauseum.
And then Charles saying that the series was over also once Kevin Durant got hurt.
Then you've got three examples because Mark Jackson said that Embiid could be better than Shaq in a broadcast. I believe it was Shaq that he said, but basically the gist was he could be one of the greats of all time. And Van Gundy said, well, are you really doing that right now? Can we just wait a little bit? He goes, I see it, but it's a long way off. And he goes, well, then you're not watching because I'm telling you right here, right now, that's what he is. Okay.
Well, Embiid's infuriating. He's difficult to try to. I don't even want to bother right now. By the way, I will say this: good on Embiid. He was asked immediately in his exit interview, if you will, whether or not Brett Brown should be back because there is a lot of speculation that the Philadelphia 76ers will fire him. And he said that he thought that if they fired him, it would be BS. He's done a fantastic job, quote unquote. He's been there through everything. I thought that they were right to give him every opportunity after he had to wear the losses while they said to, hang in there through the process.
Mm-hmm.
They finally gave him the keys to the kingdom in the sense that they let him coach the result of, the gathering of assets and toys, if you will. It is bitterly disappointing not to make it out of the second round of the playoffs, admittedly. But the question becomes whether or not he gets another year to do it or not. In this case, I think this is more on Embiid. This is more on maybe the roster makeup, if you will. That if you're a team owner, you're Josh Harris, the team owner of the 76ers, you got to figure out, all right, so I fire the coach. Who am I bringing in that guarantees me, that we're getting past the second round next year? It's hard to know that because, first of all, they're really young. So say you stand pat. Now, you've got free agents to sign. You got to figure out, I would imagine Butler will be the number one guy on that list. And then you can decide whether or not to move on from J.J. Redick, whether or not you want Tobias Harris back. I mean, those are your free agents.
Butler has an option too, doesn't he? I think. But anyway.
Well, you got to get him back in the fold. That'll be their number one deal because you got to have a Batman and Robin. We know that. Every team's got at least two guys, right? You prefer a three. You'd like to have three guys that you can really depend on. But anyhow, so you go, let's say you fire him. Who are you bringing in that guarantees that everything is going to be better next year and you'll move on? And then secondarily, this is going to be a fascinating offseason. Kawhi Leonard, I know, just now is part of Toronto's lore forevermore. He is now obviously, I think, probably associated. Well, no, he is. He's associated with having hit the biggest shot in franchise history. Those people now think he'll come back. I don't. He's not going to come back.
No, they need to go a little bit deeper for that to be a guaranteed thing, right?
He could win it all. He won't come back.
There is word that Woj was saying that he's now open to the possibility more than he was when he first arrived in Toronto, that he's kind of fallen in love with it a little bit. But that also could be his agent floating that out there to create some sort of leverage situation. Even though max contracts are what they are, I don't know, perhaps it's just for intrigue purposes. The Jimmy Butler option, by the way, is a player option for 19.8. So my guess is he'd opt out.
Yeah, they've got to find a way. I mean, Butler, Harris, and Redick all headed, as I said, into free agency. Butler would be looking for a max contract, so they got to get him signed. It's possible. I would think he's number one on the list. You part with Redick, probably, or Harris.
Redick will go to New York.
Redick's going to get $17 million or so, 13 to 17 for a single-year deal. That's what he'll get, which is a lot of money to be, a arena shooter. He's a good NBA player, though. He can't be the guy, but he's a really nice 3 or 4.
He can steal you a game, and that's about the height of what he can do, right?
Yeah. But you got to evaluate what you are. Is Ben Simmons? What is Ben Simmons? He's a year out from earning a max level extension. Have a good day, Ben Simmons.
So what he is your guy for one more year. That's what he is.
There's $121 million still left on Embiid's deal. You can't – I would imagine you can't turn your back on Embiid, but you do have to be concerned that he's never going to be in shape.
Ben Simmons should go to San Antonio after this year is up because what they did to help Kawhi develop an offensive game that was
incredible offensive game at that.
Right, but he was a project and a half when they went and got him because they had to get rid of Hill to do it. And they hated that trade, as the story goes. The front office, the coaching staff, they were weeping when they made that deal like Embiid was in the hallways last night. But they brought in Leonard, and they worked on his game, and look who he's turned out to be. So maybe that's what I would do if I was that guy. Go see the guru.
He's a freak. He is unbelievable. There's that. This will be interesting, though. So say Kawhi Leonard goes to the Western Conference. Where does Kyrie Irving go? There's now a hint that he'll want to join LeBron with the Lakers. That would be fascinating. Also seems a bit like a you-know-what show. But okay.
Enjoy your trip to Boston with the Lakers.
Well, man, what a humiliating sort of set of circumstances for Kyrie, who really was sure that he was a 1A and not a 1B, but he's a 1B. And he
sometimes there's no one.
Yeah, I mean that's a toughie right there. That's a woo.
Hey, they got Frank Vogel though. Everything's going to be okay. They're going to get to beat back, and he's going to be allowed to jump straight up and straight down and foul people, and everything will be okay.
You know what I thought about with that, though, man? If you're Frank Vogel, I mean, get your money, buddy, but it's kind of suck. They bring Jason Kidd in, and you have to do it. So Kidd's right there over your shoulder around every turn. I don't know, Frank. I mean,
he's just such a nice guy, folks. How can you say no to Jason Kidd being on the bench? He's long been known as a good guy.
Yeah, he's not going to stab me in the back at all, is he? The second things go south, I can count on Jason Kidd and the character I know that he possesses, right? I mean, the first 5-game losing streak that they have, and he pulls into Staples Center and Kidd's car is already there extra early.
In his spot.
He's like, what? Oh, I meant to park the one next to it. I didn't. It was awfully early when I got here. I had a meeting. That is never gonna
with Pelinka.
I mean, that's not gonna work. What are we doing there? But anyhow, there will be all kinds of shakeups because keep in mind Kevin Durant will be leaving. We think certainly Golden State, and there's a possibility of wide range movement.
Would the world implode if Durant stayed in Golden State? They made it work. They made it work. Everybody took fewer dollars and they stuck together. I think the basketball world would implode. People would be so mad.
Yeah, because when you win, at first you are certainly beloved and exalted and spoken of in histrionics and, where do you fit? Speaking of lists and rankings and where do are you all-time great like this dynasty or this dynasty? Then it gets old. It doesn't take long for it to get old either. It gets real old real quick. People are like, all right, we got it. You're really good.
Yeah, his one-liner is, I'm not going after Jordan 6. I'm going after Russell's. I'm trying to win as many rings as I can get. I don't care what you think of me.
They wouldn't be able to do that, obviously, so it's pointless. But I would say that the NBA needs him to leave. They don't, but they do. We're all going to be watching. I mean, the lottery is going to be interesting, and where guys, the Knicks have a chance to be viable, and they never are.
They'll find a way to screw it up. They've got an owner that is one of the worst in sports. They'll figure it out.
But it would be obviously very preferable to have the Celtics put together a package to get Anthony Davis. Somebody goes to L.A. to join LeBron. Durant goes to New York, and then they find a dance partner for him with the Knicks.
Philly is still viable. They
signed Butler, and obviously Embiid gets himself in shape, and you got a 1-2 there. You want as many of this, and then listen. Denver is going to be fascinating for years to come. They've got emerging stars. Portland,
So if Kyrie goes out to L.A. To play with the Lakers, and Kawhi goes to the Clippers, and then you've got KD to the Knicks, and Boston gets Anthony. Yes, then you've got the big markets.
It's fun then,
which they claim they don't care about.
They
the big
do
markets
damn well
being
care
good.
about. But then that's fun. To me, no doubt, it's better when more are involved, including in markets that you never really thought viable, because right now I think it's interesting that Milwaukee is built the right way, and here they have a chance to get to the finals, and they're facing an organization, Toronto, who never does this and is now have a chance to get to the NBA Finals. It may be a rental, maybe a brief thing, but it's happening. Here we are. That's the Eastern Conference Finals. That's nuts to think about. We did not predict that before the year began. Out west, Golden State still the dynasty and odds-on favorite to win it. At least we had intrigue in the second round. Don't think we're going to get a ton of intrigue in this round. This round does, I fear, feature some matchups that may not be. You and I might have a slight disagreement. I think Milwaukee and Toronto has a chance to go 7. I think that is a good chance to go 7.
I'd set the over-under for that series at 5.5.
I'll take the over, buddy.
Okay.
Let's put it on the board. Let's put it up there on the big board.
On the big board.
We got a side wager of tall boys. Over 5.5 games, Milwaukee and Toronto. Absolutely, I'm banging the over, baby. Big tall boys.
Big tall boys.
Is it Ira time yet, or I got another segment?
Ira is up next, yes.
My man. Irrational.com. Coming up next.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Chrysler Jeep Ram. No other dealer can offer you this kind of savings. We buy in mass quantities and pass along the savings to you. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude, starting at $18,870. Payments as low as $299 a month. On the corner of West Tennessee and Capitol Circle, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Check us out on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. All prices include rebates and incentives plus tax, title, and dealer fee. State number 18J605. Must finance through Chrysler Capital and qualify for all rebates and incentives. After 40 years as Florida State Baseball's head coach, Mike Martin Sr. is making this his final season. Join all of us here at Garnet and Gold as we celebrate the farewell tour for the winningest coach in college baseball history with limited edition commemorative baseballs, t-shirts, and caps in stock right now. And while you're here, check out Nike's hot new line of FSU baseball jerseys, tees, and ball caps. Garnet and Gold with 3 locations, West Pensacola Street, Collard, and Governor Square Boulevard. If you're a Seminole, we're your store. Shop local and go Noles.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
Wahoo Seafood Grill, Tallahassee's leader in fresh seafood, is located right behind the Best Western on North Monroe. Lunch specials start at $7.99. Be sure to try their award-winning house-made burger. Big lunch parties are also welcome. Wahoo Seafood Grill makes lunch specials a very affordable choice. Delivery is available and plenty of parking. Wahoo Seafood Grill. Easy access from any part of town using I-10. Visit them online at wahooseafoodgrill.com or call them today at 850-629-4059.
Hey, I'm Jeff Doxey, Realtor for Capital Property Consultants, representing Premier Fine Homes. If you're thinking of owning your own brand new Premier home, call or text me at 850-545-4747 or email me, jeffdoxey1@gmail.com. You say where, I'll be there. Your Canopy Connection.
It's bow time at Bojangles. Need a flavorful, convenient meal? Come in today for 8 pieces of Bojangles perfectly seasoned chicken for just $9.99 and get 4 free made-from-scratch buttermilk biscuits. Every piece of Bojangles flavorful bone-in chicken is fresh, never frozen, and hand-breaded not once, but twice. Hurry in today for 8 pieces of chicken for just $9.99 and get 4 free biscuits. Only available for a limited time. Bojangles, it's bow time.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all-day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, where Memorial Day savings started May 1st with May Holiday Bonus Cash, Frontier and Titan Red Tag Truck Cash. And at Kraft Nissan, you get special interest rates and huge rebates. You get both. The other guys, you only get one rate or rebate. So listen up. All 2019 Rogues in stock are $3,000 off, and you get 0.9% interest for 60 months. All 2019 Altimas in stock are $5,000 off, and you get 2.9% interest for 60 months. And we've got over 100 new Rogues and Altimas to choose from. At Kraft Nissan, Pathfinders and Muranos are up to $8,000 off. And Titans, with America's best truck warranty, 5 years or 100,000 miles bumper to bumper, are up to $12,000 off. Seriously, at Kraft Nissan, Memorial Day savings are today and every day this month, with huge savings all month long. Plus, Nissan is blowing away the competition with special low interest rates and rebates. You get both. No wonder Tallahassee is a Nissan town, a Kraft Nissan town. In Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Interest rates with approved credit through NMAC.
Hendrick. It's the Hendrick Memorial Day sales event all month long at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC. Celebrate with savings like the 2019 GMC Acadia 3-row SUV up to $10,000 off MSRP, or the stylish 2019 GMC Terrain up to $8,000 off. We are professional grade. See us at 1850 Capitol Circle Northeast or shop Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMC.com. Not all vehicles will qualify for maximum discount. Must finance with GM Financial plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and dealer admin charge. See dealer for details.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reporting Warriors star Kevin Durant will miss at least Game 1 of the NBA's Western Conference Finals against the Blazers tomorrow. 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN TV, and the ESPN app. Durant likely will have his strained calf reevaluated Thursday. It's unlikely he plays in Game 2 Thursday night. Another NBA head coaching vacancy's been filled. Cavaliers have agreed on a 5-year contract with John Beilein to make the University of Michigan coach their new head coach. This according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. The 66-year-old Beilein, who's been entertaining thoughts about the NBA for several years, considered one of the elite teachers in basketball. So now Michigan begins its coaching search, and a potential candidate could be a former Wolverine, says ESPN's Seth Greenberg.
Juwan Howard, a member of one of the great Michigan teams of all time, who's an assistant coach in the NBA right now. Tad Boyle at Colorado, a very close friend of John Beilein's. Shaka Smart, as would probably Steve Wojciechowski, who is the head coach at Marquette right now.
Golf 3 days before he tees off in his first tournament since winning the Masters. Tiger Woods got to work early today at Bethpage Black, the site of this week's 101st PGA Championship. Tiger won the 2002 U.S. Open at Bethpage. This will mark the 6th time in Woods' career he comes to a major championship, not having played a tournament since the previous major. UFC star Conor McGregor no longer facing criminal charges in Florida for allegedly smashing and stealing a man's phone in March. Miami prosecutors dropped one charge of felony robbery and one of misdemeanor criminal mischief after the accuser stopped cooperating. NFL quarterback Geno Smith expected to sign with the Seahawks. He'll be competing for the backup job there with Paxton Lynch.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Good Monday, everybody. Appreciate you saying, hey, I'm gonna tune into the Jeff Cameron Show. All right. Good to have you on board. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything. If you do, go find us later in the day. We'll post the show upon the conclusion of it on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email us if you like, jcs at 979espnradio.com. On Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. Don't forget about that WTSM app. You can always use that for your mobile devices. We're on YouTube. We're on Periscope. So there are an incredible number of options for you to find us, as is always the case on Monday. What we're want to do is bring in my man, Ira Shafel, warchant.com, and he joins me now. Hello, Ira. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, Jeff. How are you?
Well, I got to ask you before we get started with all the FSU stuff. Is that a wig Jim Palmer's wearing? The reason I ask you, if you guys don't follow Ira, you should, at Ira Shafel on Twitter. If you look at the banner behind the lovely picture of Ira, you'll see 3 Oriole greats, and I've never paid attention to it until just now. I was double-checking, making sure I hadn't missed any new stories from you before you came on, being the pro that I am, Ira. And I looked and I saw, of course, Cal Ripken, and I saw Eddie Murray, who, by the way, I saw Eddie Murray hit his 498th and 499th home run. I missed the 500th, huh? Or was it 398, 399? I can't remember. But anyhow, that, and then I see Jim Palmer, who's 105 years old with the thickest set of brown hair you'll ever see. And I'm wondering, do we know? I've never really gone after him for the wig. Is it?
First of all, you are my expert when it comes to wigs, so wig identification. So if I suspected it, I would come to you for confirmation. But I would say this, it's certainly a lot of dyeing going on if it is really his own hair.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And my only, as a huge Orioles fan, my only interaction with Jim Palmer, really, other than seeing some spring training games, was one time we came across him in the Miami International Airport, and he was about 3 seats to the wind, which was kind of a little traumatic for an 11-year-old Ira, but it was still a brush with greatness.
Remember the thing about meeting your heroes and all that?
Yeah.
Where do we start? Where do we
start?
Sloppy. Here we go. I'm wondering. Maybe that would explain the multiple divorces. He gets a little loose on the road. Let's go this route here. David Coburn, no shock, obviously, that the interim tag is now off. He is the AD. We talked at the time that he became the interim athletic director. We thought that he would become the athletic director just so long as he liked the job or was capable of doing it. We also know that it would be awfully difficult to entice a new athletic director to come here and take that job, given that the president of the university is at the tail end of his tenure. So no real surprises here, although I did see a little bit on the Twitter sphere there that there was some backlash, but I think that was from people maybe who didn't really realize that situation, being what it was nearly impossible for Florida State to go out and get anybody other. That's not a slight on David Coburn. That's just the situation they find themselves in.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know that it would make sense to try to go out and get a new athletic director right now, or even in the fall. That was the original, when we first talked to David Coburn when he became the interim last August, when Stan Wilcox left. He said that, the plan was he was going to do some work in the fall, try to look at, evaluate the department, and then maybe at the end of the fall, sit down with President Thrasher and decide what they were going to do. At the time, I still kind of figured they would probably go this route because of the timing of, John Thrasher's only, is under contract through 2020, November 2020. At that point, he's not expected to re-up, so that'll be the end of his tenure. And you'd like to think a new president's going to want to hire his own athletic director. So that's kind of where I thought it was going. The only way it wouldn't have been was if maybe everything, David Coburn spent the first few months in the job and said, you know what, this thing's ready to go. We can turn it over to somebody new and feel good about it. Or if David Coburn just hated the job. But neither of those things was accurate. Number one, I think he does like the job. I think he likes interacting with the sports programs, the coaches. I think he likes, being that involved with athletics. He's always been kind of involved with it from an arm's length. I think he's enjoyed that part of the job. And then the other side of it is there's more to kind of getting FSU on solid footing than probably they expected. He's basically admitted that they were overstretched financially in some areas. And that's, he's not I wouldn't say he's a real popular guy right now in the athletics department because there's some belt tightening going on. But, when you're an adult, you realize that, hey, it's not his fault. It's not like it's a for-profit operation where he's trying to maximize all the profits for his bonus. I mean, he's trying to get them to be on solid financial footing, which is something they need to do. And so it may not be what everybody wants, but I think he's doing what the athletic department needs, and I don't think he's going to be done with all of that, really. At best case, probably the end of this year. And so it just makes sense for every reason for him to stay on as the AD. And then, when John Thrasher is ready to move on, then I guess it's up to him to try to talk. If Coburn wants to stay in that role, he could talk to the new president and say, I'd like to be considered for this job, just like all the executive staff do, like all the vice presidents. When a new president of the university comes in, they all submit their resignations, and then it's up to the president to decide who he wants to keep, or he may keep everybody or may keep nobody. And I think David Coburn would be in that kind of mode at that point. If he wants to stay, he may be willing to move on at the end of John Thrasher's tenure.
Now onto the field, 6 in a row for the Florida State softball team. I'll get to that momentarily. First, though, obviously, the last, we think certainly, it may not be, but we'll see. It seems like it would be the last home series for a legend in Mike Martin. They do sweep the series, so first things first, they needed those 3 wins. They got those 3 wins. I thought, unfortunately, between weather and it being Mother's Day and the schedule with Richmond and all of that, it wasn't ideal way to send off a legend, but at the same time, I did think that the very touching letter from Carol, his wife, and the video tributes were apt and appropriate, and I thought certainly it gave us all time to reflect and really kind of reminisce about the many great moments that he's had. An ambassador for Florida State, a winner at Florida State, a winner unlike any other across NCAA sports. It is interesting to kind of take a step back and think about what the impact of that means and what it was for Florida State fans, players, coaches, and supporters alike to see the last game at home from Mike Martin.
Yeah, and it really kind of hit me more than I expected. Standing in the press box at the end. When the game ends, we usually all go down to the interview room in the tradition room outside the clubhouse to do interviews. And I had a feeling they were going to do something on the field, so I stayed in the press box and watched. And I think that was the first time it really hit me. Man, I'm probably never going to see this guy coach on this field again, which is it's kind of hard to reconcile because every the first Florida State baseball game I came to, I wasn't covering the team full time, but it was in the early 90s. So, I mean, a long 25 years ago. And other people have gone back much further. So it is kind of surreal when you think about it. And I felt bad about, like you said, the scheduling and the rain and every other reason why people wouldn't be there. But, to some degree, you look at a situation like that, at least I did, and said, okay, so maybe there's only 1,500 people here or 2,000 people here as opposed to 6,000. But at least those 1,500 people really wanted to be there.
Yeah, die hard, right.
And so to that degree, and even, it rained. It started pouring before they delayed it. And some people stayed. They went up underneath the cover. And then there was, are they going to postpone it? Are they going to cancel it? And a lot of people just waited. The people that were there for the very end wanted to be there. And so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and, it's weird now. It is surreal, like you said, and we all will reflect in our own way, depending on the memories we have and the years we've gone and committed to Florida State baseball and covered Florida State baseball in our case, and certainly our various relationships with the Martin family. And I was glad, and I told Tom this, and we started the show with this, that in so many ways the day was also very much about honoring Carol Martin, who has been the epitome of class act, and just they call her the first lady of FSU baseball. She is certainly that. So I'm glad that she got to share in the limelight there, if you will, or in the moment certainly with her husband, because she has been nothing but classy for a long, long time. So I was happy on a Mother's Day that it got to be a special day for her too. As for the team, any chance they give us one more run and give us all a reason to get on the edge of our seats one last time?
It's possible. I mean, I definitely think, I think it's possible. And I thought the coolest thing to me, and it wasn't because I asked the question, but I kind of wondered, we all know how competitive Mike Martin is. And they could lose 20 in a row and they could be playing, the Yankees the next day. And he's going to think they've got a chance, or they're going to do everything they can to win that game. So I was kind of curious how he felt about this whole hoopla when there's still an outside chance they could come back home if they if they win a couple at Louisville, they win the ACC tournament. I mean, there's nothing to say they couldn't, end up being a host team depending on how things work out. So, or if they won their regional and then the other team in their who they're paired up
fall
with,
on their face, upset. Right? Yeah, it could happen.
Yes. So I just kind of was curious, and man, you could see it in his eyes. And he said, "I will never admit that there's no way we're coming back home." And it's just that's the kind of thing. And it's funny. He even admitted he was kind of reflective in that press conference and said, "I wish sometimes I wasn't as competitive as I am, but I know I'm not going to change." And I think there's some degree that's been a flaw of his. I think at times we've talked about some things maybe he would manage differently during the season if he wasn't so competitive on every single game and every inning. But that's also kind of what's cool about him is that, at 70, years old, I mean, there's not 1 ounce of him that would back down from any fight. And that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, as he says, we'll be on time. And it'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I love it when he says that. And he has said it before, and it always makes me smile. The Florida State softball team cruises year in and year out. It is now 6 straight ACC titles as they have just run shot over that league. It's exciting to see, especially since they rule North Carolina 8-0 in 6 innings on Saturday. And you think about them not allowing a run over the entire tournament. That is something to behold as they dominate. And I guess just summarize real quick this program now, which is a monster year in and year out. You could expect them to be a national seed. They're a 4 seed. You look at that regional, you think they're going to win it. I guess if you would, like I said, summarize this softball team.
Yeah, I mean, this team, again, they don't have, I think, some people were expecting because they won the national title and they had a lot of key players back that, you almost thought that they'd never lose a game. And then, they lose a few games, they lose to Florida, and, people start kind of, oh, well, maybe they're not that special. But then you go out and watch them. Like I went out a little bit for the ACC tournament this weekend, which was in town. And, the first game they're in, it's basically scoreless, that neither team's doing anything offensively, and you just kind of have a feeling with their lineup that it's just one swing of the bat and they take over a game and they hit so many home runs, and sure enough they start hitting home runs, and they steamroll. And then Megan King is so dominant as a pitcher that's a great combination. It's a funny team, and again it's so different. They're so different from the softball teams of the past where that they manufacture runs. They get a single and a home run, and all of a sudden you're down 2-0, and Megan King's on the mound, and you're not going to score.
And you can call it a day. Yeah. It's cool to think about. She pitched 4 innings of scoreless relief, by the way, too. And, yeah, you're right. For those that are the uninitiated, and I haven't, I'm not going to sit here and tell people I've been locked in for 10 years or anything like that. It's only been the last few, but their change in play, the way the game is played in general has changed. Also, the way that this team plays is a lot of fun. Extremely athletic with a lot of power. And, again, they're hosting here as a 4 seed nationally. And, South Carolina comes in, USF comes in, Bethune-Cookman comes in. It's a fun product. It really is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and if people haven't gone, the other nice thing about it is you can see the support. Because this was the first year they started charging for games during the regular season. And the crowds were still great. I mean, people were paying to go, which, there was a time when people would have scoffed at the idea of charging admission for softball, but people were paying to go. The attendance was great last weekend for the ACC tournament. I'm sure it'll be good for the regional as well. And the other cool thing about it is it's so just collegial. Everybody's into it. You got the people hanging on the garage, watching for free across the street, and maybe taking part in some adult beverages.
Good times.
It's a cool environment. If people haven't gone, I recommend they go out there because it is a great product and it's just a cool atmosphere.
Talk to you down the line, brother. Probably really soon. I think you're going off to Amelia, right?
Yeah, I'm going up there, and so if anything comes of interest, feel free to give me a shout, and I'll come talk to you.
You're my guy. Safe travels, brother. Be well.
Thanks, man. See ya.
IrishFLWarChant.com. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with Easy Laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's Easy Laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
Shot, save, rebound, score!
The playoffs are here. The Corner Pocket is your home all spring long for all the heart-pounding moments in the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs.
It's held in a shot, save,
The Corner Pocket on Appalachia Parkway next to Earth Fair is your headquarters for FSU and Major League Baseball. Trivia Tuesdays, Beer Bingo Thursdays, and of course, all the moments you'll never forget.
for the championship!
The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Take me out to the ball game.
Indeed. And with weather like this, it's good to see you out on this magnificent, sizable deck.
It is quite impressive. You can see it all the way from the stadium.
What a deck. What a deck indeed.
I hear that a lot.
You know, I remember, what was it, mid-90s you opened up? Place was so small.
Now it's huge.
All I know is a lot of good times have been spent on this deck. Man, people enjoy it. They laugh, they sing, they drink, they eat, and they celebrate all the goodness of the Gordo's deck.
And you can come have a Gordo Smash.
Delicious. Sitting on the deck with a Gordo Smash. That's a good day at the office.
Or put a Cuban in your mouth.
And other food. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Get this. Joey and me were supposed to go to this concert next week, right? But then something terrible happened. Joey was driving without a seatbelt. But he didn't wreck. No, he got pulled over. Now Joey has to pay for a seatbelt ticket instead of a concert ticket, and I have to go by myself. How lame is that? So Joey, if you're out there, you're an idiot. Wear your seatbelt or you'll get a ticket.
All across the country, cops are cracking down. Click it or ticket, day and night.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I always like it when advertisers are mentioned by our listeners, but Michael, come on now. At Jay Cameron Show, @_Tom Lang. You don't want me to read that one?
You can kind of hint at what he says towards the end.
I tried the Sprouts from Bumpus Local 349 at lunch today. They're awesome. However, my office, and he goes on to talk
is
about,
odious.
Yeah, regrettable. I love those things. They're delicious. I could eat those every day. I don't, but I could. They're that good. If you've not been over to Bumpus Local 349 just for those, you're missing out.
So I audibly laughed when I read that tweet, the old true LOL, if you will.
Yeah.
But, the moment after I laughed, I said, that would be good. Just an
You
order.
immediately thought about it, right?
Order of Sprouts, yeah.
I know. I don't blame you. I wanted to make mention of something else. that I failed to mention earlier today, and that is that the women won FSU track and field an ACC championship, because of course they did. Our women teams across the board dominate and continue to make us very proud, of course. And look, man, if we're going to be down in football, you want to see as many championships of any kind elsewhere littered throughout the university. And I don't care the sport. I don't care if it's one that we talk about on a regular basis or not. Certainly we'll champion all champions. So doffing to the cap to the ACC champion, Knowles, that took it home on the track and field.
It was a blinding beauty, not so much day in Charlottesville, Virginia.
No, it looked awful.
raining.
I saw the pictures. It looked terrible.
But we swept the 100 and 200 meter dash titles, and that is what you do right there.
Yeah, it is what you do right there. And it's another championship, so it's something to celebrate. What did you make of, while we're on the subject, and you know, you could go one of two ways. I saw people debating on Twitter, and Ira and I mentioned it a moment ago. Where do you stand on the Willie Taggart tweeting out those that excel in the classroom?
I think in a period of transition when you're terrible with academics, then it's okay. But if he's doing it 5 years from now, let's pump the brakes on it. I think for kids that he inherited that needed to get better and he sees market change for, his people are probably telling him positive reinforcement would go a long way here.
Well, when you're combating a lot of negativity right now, or some negativity right now, the latest being something that really isn't his fault at all, because it's over as I understand it, it's a 4-year average. So really none of this is his fault as far as the APR goes, the staggeringly low scores. You got to do something to counter the narrative that is, since you've taken over, everything's gone to hell. No, things had gone to hell before you took over, but you didn't do anything in year one to change that. When you have the opportunity to champion a change in areas that you do have some control over, hey, you know, I think you got to take advantage of it. Some people have noted, well, when you single out those that did really well, you're excluding, obviously, those that didn't get a 3.0 or above. But it doesn't mean those other students were failures. Guy could have a 2.9 and he can get mentioned. There's nothing wrong with that for your football team.
I don't know. If Cam Akers runs for 115, I'm not going to talk about LeBourne. That's just the way the world works, man. I mean, if you did something good, and I think it makes the kid feel better. I got no problem with it.
Well, you saw like Jaleel McRae got noticed right off the bat, and it's cool that he was mentioned. He had a 3.4, by the way, right off the bat. So we're excited about him. And when I saw that, I have to admit, I went, oh, not only do you look like a badass who's going to rise up and save our linebacking core, you also had a 3.4. All right, I'm trusting you more every day, young man. But no, there's nothing wrong with championing those guys.
Well, I mean, if there are releases all year long about ACC all academic team and all academic honors, and it doesn't matter what the sport is, you have an all academic team, and you're trying to be, at least in theory, student athletes. But for me, when it comes to Willie doing it, I just say for now. Now, if the APR score goes back up, then maybe we either slide the scale up to a 3.5 to a 4.0, or we just leave it be. But in this moment, when you need to start changing the discussion and also make the kids feel good about themselves a little bit, then yeah, go for it.
I also think that no matter what we continue to point out about, really things don't change collectively as far as the feeling or the vibe or the narrative around the program until you win games, and that's true. You and I have been clicking pins and jotting notes and all that stuff all off season. The truth of the matter is, I feel like some of the criticisms and some of the articles that have been written nationally, obviously they've got space to fill and they've got time to kill till we get back to people practicing and actually playing the game of football, and it can be a stark place. The landscape of the summer is daunting. Some of these articles have been excessive in their criticisms after one season. There's no doubt. And people have debates all the time about what you should do when you're encountering that. Do you ignore that, put blinders on, plow ahead, knowing your time will come? Your chance, if you win games, will come to address all of the slights and all of the doubts, if you so choose, or you can just be above it all and go ahead and plow forward. Or do you have to get out in front of negative and off-putting events, comments, obviously articles that put in your program in further, describe your program as being further in disarray if you believe it not to be true. If your retort is, wait, I had nothing to do with that. This is what I have to do with, and we're excelling right now. We're working to get it back on track.
My thought would be if you can back the kids while getting out in front of it, then do it. And that's what he's doing here is he's backing kids. He's not directly talking like he's not
look
going
what
on,
I've done, yeah.
He's not going on a Twitter rant every day about the things that are wrong with the previous coaching staff.
That you could never do.
No. It may work in Capitol Hill, but it doesn't work here.
No.
And nobody would appreciate that one bit. So if you can back the kids while trying to change the storyline around the program, then do it because it makes the kids feel better about themselves. I keep coming back to that. This team needs a little bit more positive karma for the right reasons. They got to feel better about themselves for the right reasons. And this is what Willie's doing. He's saying, this is what we want. This is what we want in the culture of our program. And good.
It's also very consistent with stuff he said from day one. This isn't any different. Now, some of those things didn't work out. He had an entire...
And it was lethal simplicity that day, too.
He had an entire vision, and he was selling something. All coaches are. All business leaders are. If you're a new boss, you got to sell it to your best players. You got to sell it to your coaches. You got to sell it to your fan base and all that. Not everything worked out. Obviously, there's still time. But one of the things he sold was that he wanted complete players. He cared about kids across the board. He wanted to ensure that they went to class. Remember that? He championed that from day one. So if that's going to be part of your sell, part of your mantra, and then you have an opportunity to do it, you have to do it. I mean, because all that other stuff you've had to be pretty mum about. This is one of the first times where you go, this was part of the overall platform, and it's happening.
But he was unabashed when he said that in his opening press conference, that they were going to care about this stuff.
Yes, he demanded it. And
it wasn't just like, it was like, oh, we're going to care about academics. Okay, everybody, all right, to the photo shoot.
No, because he thought it all. And listen, Clemson has made it abundantly clear that is true. Now, we can all allege what the hell's going on there because you saw their APR score. Was that the best in the country? Whatever it was unbelievable. But the story that fed out of that was they've got it clicking across the board, whether it's recruiting, wins on the field, obviously a community feel. They're kicking ass in the classroom. All the recruits want to go there. They've created a culture that everybody wants to be a part of. And, until proven otherwise, there's no reason to suspect anything. I mean, obviously we raise an eyebrow, but it is working. Well, to me, if you're trying to create something that everybody can believe in and get things turned around and you have opportunities within it, even if it's this small or something is less of a concern than, say, actually winning games, you've got to do it. You've got to do because Clemson's good at it. I mean, their PR, they nail it out. I mean, they have really hit a bunch of home runs over the last 3 years. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Just food. I like tacos. You can't screw up tacos, but they do really good tacos.
I am a big fan of the Uncle Sal because the Uncle Sal is sausage, peppers, and onions. You can't go wrong with that trio, man.
You like the peppers and onions more than I do.
It must be like a New York thing. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Everybody's a little bit Italian because they're coming from New York because the peppers and onions isn't exactly Irish
I like
cuisine.
It when they're cooked up like that.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
like
hard to beat. A little mustard? Yeah.
I'm forever going to champion the wings and the Cobb salad. It's Bumpa's Local 349. They got live music. They've got a number of televisions and, of course, tasty beverages, man. Good stuff.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com.
Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey sponsors Braves baseball so that all of you can enjoy the action. Ever since the days of Hank Aaron and Dale Murphy, we've been Tallahassee's home run hitting law firm. And because we don't get paid unless we win, we want to win every case as much as Chipper Jones wanted to win every game. So when you're injured, don't just trust any law firm to handle your case. Make the call to the bullpen for a trusted closer. To see our stats on the back of our baseball card, visit wrongfullyinjured.com. Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey. Personal injury law is all we do.
Hey, welcome to this Subway ad for the new club collection. How do you want it?
I'll take a book club.
Absolutely.
So, last week we sunk our teeth into Subway's meaty new release, the Steak Club.
I didn't finish it yet.
Oh, not again, Sandra. This week, it's the new Southwest Chicken Club, also by Subway. No spoilers, but there's a tasty twist.
Jalapeno cheddar bread and guacamole?
Sandra, get out. Subway, make it what you want.
Good ending.
Limited time only at participating restaurants.
And now, a quick comparison from Grasshopper. When a client calls, what do you want them to hear? Your personal voicemail?
Hey, you've reached Greg's cell phone. I'm away right now, obviously. Leave a message and maybe I'll get back to you.
Or something a little more buttoned up, courtesy of Grasshopper.
Thanks for calling Green Landscaping. To make an appointment, dial 1. For billing, dial 2. To speak with Greg Smith, dial
There's
3.
no contest. Put your best voice forward with Grasshopper, the virtual phone system for small business. Try it free at grasshopper.com.
Hendrick.
New way to buy, new roads to drive. That's what you'll find at the all-new Dale Earnhardt Jr. Chevrolet, a proud member of the Hendrick Automotive Group. We've completely reinvented the car buying process, making trusted, honest service our top priority and putting you first. We're ready to prove it to you. So come check out our fantastic selection today. Find new roads and your new Chevrolet right here on Tennessee Street or shop online at DaleEarnhardtJr.Chevy.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reporting Warriors star Kevin Durant will miss at least Game 1 of the NBA's Western Conference Finals against the Blazers tomorrow. 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN TV, and the ESPN app. Durant likely will have his strained calf reevaluated Thursday. It's unlikely he plays in Game 2 Thursday night. Another NBA head coaching vacancy has been filled. Cavaliers have agreed on a 5-year contract with John Beilein to make the University of Michigan coach their new head coach. This according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. The 66-year-old Beilein, who's been entertaining thoughts about the NBA for several years, considered one of the elite teachers in basketball. So now Michigan begins its coaching search, and a potential candidate could be a former Wolverine, says ESPN's Seth Greenberg.
Juwan Howard, a member of one of the great Michigan teams of all time, who's an assistant coach in the NBA right now. Tad Boyle at Colorado, a very close friend of John Beilein's. Shaka Smart, as would probably Steve Wojciechowski, who is the head coach at Marquette right now.
Golf 3 days before he tees off in his first tournament since winning the Masters. Tiger Woods got to work early today at Bethpage Black, the site of this week's 101st PGA Championship. Tiger won the 2002 U.S. Open at Bethpage. This will mark the 6th time in Woods' career he comes to a major championship, not having played a tournament since the previous major. UFC star Conor McGregor no longer facing criminal charges in Florida for allegedly smashing and stealing a man's phone in March. Miami prosecutors dropped one charge of felony robbery and one of misdemeanor criminal mischief after the accuser stopped cooperating. NFL quarterback Geno Smith expected to sign with the Seahawks. He'll be competing for the backup job there with Paxton Lynch.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
You know, Trey Jones has often said to me about the singular and solitudinal nature of being a golfer, right, where you can't control what people do around you. And for that reason, the sport can be maddening, but it also can help you to focus, to know that I'm not if Tom Lane's going to go out and shoot a 70 today, and the best I got in me, the best I can get out of a round is an 84, which would be my best round. listen, I'd lose by 14 strokes, and on the surface, that should piss me off. But in the reality, I know my game, and I'd be elated. We'd both be elated, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I'd take a 90 right now, but yeah.
So the point would be this, though. Sometimes you go out and you shoot a 67, and the other guy shoots a 65, and there's nothing you can do about that, and that's why it's a 4-round event and all that, and you go back and you try to do it again the next day, and you hope that if you throw up another 67, that a-hole doesn't throw up another 65, right? That you just keep on going. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I could handle what happened this weekend to Scott Piercy. You guys don't care, but this is historically great, and he's got nothing to show for it save for a cool stat. I mean, just something to say at a bar someday, perhaps. But Scott Piercy, who most people who casually follow the PGA Tour have no idea who he is, played a 72-hole tour event without making a bogey. Not a single bogey for the 4 days with that inclement weather and the different, all the different delays and the things that happen. Stop-start moments for those guys.
And you think about what it does to green speeds.
Yeah, it changes everything.
It changes everything about that first putt from 30 feet away.
Yeah, it's nuts. So my man played 4 rounds of golf on the PGA Tour in PGA Tour conditions, tournament conditions, and did not have a singular bogey. He hit 60 of 72 greens and was 12 for 12 scrambling, and he didn't win. He was the first since Lee Trevino to do it in 1974 in New Orleans at a PGA Tour event. I don't know, Tom.
You were 3.
Yes. I was in Europe. I can't imagine being okay with that. I mean, I understand that you got to doff the cap and you got to say, hey, you know what? Kang just had himself a better tournament and he deserves to win. And, boy, how about that Kang? What a tournament for him. I'd be livid.
And that's what we were talking a little bit about this today, but here's an extreme example. Of course, 23 under, I believe, was the winning total. So Piercy was 2 shots back.
Yeah, 2 shots back.
He wasn't even a 1-shot loser. He was
No,
a 2-shot
he lost
loser.
by 2 shots. Thanks for your 4 rounds in the 60s. Thanks for you not even, you don't post a single bogey on a PGA Tour event, and you lose, not by 1, but by 2.
So here's something interesting, though, is Henrik Stenson in this tournament had 4 rounds in the 60s. And, of course, it's, again, 23 is the number to win. But he had 4 rounds in the 60s, and he lost by 10. That's crazy. Like, I get birdies are a good thing, and we like to see most people, not me, most people like to see 15 under rather than 5 under. I'll take 5 under all damn day over 15. But that's insane. If you shoot 4 rounds in the 60s and you don't even come within single digits of a win?
You could argue you got boat raced.
Oh, he definitely did.
Yeah, you got boat raced. Well, I'm going to ask this question, and I don't know enough about it, so maybe I should leave it alone. But do we need to reconsider what the Byron Nelson is? I mean, they're posting crazy numbers at the Byron Nelson on the regular. I know the course is Lynx-esque, and I know that the wind is what defends it. But I was looking at that story, the Sung Kang story, as to who won it. And you go back, he had 2 years ago, he had another low number, and he got surpassed because he played really conservatively. And on that day, Russell Henley, I think it was, made 10 birdies in the final round, and because he was conservative, he got left. What are we doing?
I think some tour events just want to reward the players with something that they could have a little fun with. And the one thing, now they moved this course. This is the second year, I believe, at this particular course. It used to be at a different place in the Dallas area. But last year, I believe the winning score was also in the 20s. So this thing is 2 for 2 and people going low. It may also be, it's hard because of the schedule changes. Again, probably too far into the weeds. But if you're looking at weather patterns and probabilities, for example, applied to Florida State, regional weekends at Florida State usually
hot as Hades.
And what? Usually a lightning delay or a weather delay.
Without question.
Right. So maybe it's such that if it's a rainy season in Dallas, you got to do something more to help the course defend itself. Because if the greens are going to be that soft, then these guys are just going to go bombs away. Plus the fairways are wide as hell. It's links style, but there's no penalty area.
Did you know, by the way, that, you're right, and you could just bombs away like you said, and you're not
it's all over I mean, yes. Yeah, it's like 40, 50 yard, and that might be conservative on some holes in terms of fairways.
So this is the week we turn our attention to the PGA Championship, and it's so cool that we're once again taking a look at the another major championship, the 101st playing of the PGA Championship, Bethpage Black. Tiger Woods, by the way, comes into this tournament obviously as the story, but you just look at the groupings right off the bat, and you and I got giddy like kids this morning when they came out. The PGA doing the right thing here right off the bat. Brooks Koepka being paired with Francesco Molinari and Tiger Woods. We could stop there. That's already really cool, given the many times we've had the discussion of the triangle, if you will, of three that have been going to war in the majors as of late. But really, up and down the pairings, you see nothing but elite groupings time and again. And now all we need to know is how's it going to play? And we've seen it in U.S. Open. How's it going to play as a PGA Championship?
I think, honestly, they have to do a little bit of something that they don't want to do. And that's assuming – here's the hard part. So the PGA wants to set up a tournament much differently than the USGA. The USGA wants to penalize you. The PGA wants to at least give you a chance to go score. And typically, the PGA Championship is something where double digits is at least what you need to go get a win. So that doesn't really jive with Bethpage Black and how difficult that course is. But the rain is supposed to continue up in the New York area until at least Tuesday night into Wednesday, maybe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so if the course is softer, you've got to shorten it a little bit. And you may have to mow the rough a little bit because if it's all soggy and gross like that, that's tougher to get out and advance the ball from. So I think they might have to make this course a little bit easier for Thursday and Friday's rounds, and I don't know that they necessarily want to do that.
I think it's interesting that the story that gets buried this week and perhaps ought not be, and it's directly tied to the fact that he just hasn't played well by his own standards, certainly, is that Jordan Spieth is chasing the career Grand Slam. This is all we talked about going into the Masters for Rory McIlroy, and certainly that didn't work out for him. He did make the cut, unlike Justin Rose, but it didn't work out for him. Jordan Spieth, if he wins the PGA Championship, will have a career Grand Slam. That's normally a massive story because so few have been able to do that in their careers. But here's the problem. In 13 starts this year, he's yet to produce a top 20 finish. Most people don't really see him as a viable threat to win this event. He did say already this week that he's happy to be flying under the radar at Bethpage Black. He hasn't enjoyed that pressure. Again, you and I don't like to hear that because this is a guy who has openly kind of commented in ways that suggest he's lacking confidence for whatever reason when the moments are at their most tense. That's not usually what a three-time major winner says. It's what he has said basically since Tiger returned.
Well, remember the year before he won the Masters for the first time, he blew it. So he's got even before he choked and he put it in the water on 12 2 times in a row, his tee shot on 11. I remember we were texting about this, and I was like, man, he looks so
he was scared to go left. Yeah, he was scared to go left. I couldn't remember exactly, yeah.
I mean, he was just so petrified of the big miss. It was consuming him, you could tell, and he's almost good enough that day to win no matter what. Like, even though he's playing scared, that's how talented the dude is.
Well, and he made a lot of putts back then. Yeah, so it's interesting. Spieth's last career victory was the 2017 Open Championship at Royal Birkdale. At that time, it gave him the third leg of the career Grand Slam.
That's when he got 65 minutes with Kuchar up at the green.
That's right. Leaving him to only the PGA Championship. If he can win it, he'll become just the sixth player in history to enjoy that exclusive club. It's an amazing club to be part of, but it doesn't look like he'll be in position to do that.
He had one good round this weekend, I think it was, putting.
Yeah, he always does. He always has a round where you go, oh, maybe it's happening. And he looks like the old guy knocking in 20-footers and all of that, and then
were strokes gained for the day he was third in the tournament. And so it's in him, but he's still searching, man.
Koepka now has as many victories as Spieth and will be one of the favorites this week, obviously, Florida State's own. He will not be, Spieth, that is, one of the favorites. And it's interesting, he was tied for 29th at the Byron Nelson this weekend, and he's a member of the club there. Top 30, huh? 29.
Right. Oh, well, and I could tell you listening on Sirius XM as I was driving back up from home yesterday that every single one of his putts was broadcast, and I don't know why. He was never within 10.
If you're in a pool this week, you're welcome, everybody. Here's the deal. His ranking on tour right now in strokes gained with the driver off the tee this year, he is 202nd on tour out of 214 players. So no putts and can't keep it in the fairway.
But the question is, we're going to say like Tiger can't keep it somewhere.
Just trying to think about.
I can if I,
no,
I can't. Who am I kidding?
Just a tasteful way of noting my man is crooked and can't make putts to boot.
I just wonder if the rain is terrible up there for today and tomorrow, and also the temperatures are going to be lower too. This is something else you got to consider. Typically, a U.S. Open is played in much more high temperatures, so they're looking at mid 60s to mid 50s for the entirety of this
Beautiful
tournament.
time to be up there watching golf,
which is beautiful, but that is a significant difference.
Shortens the course.
And shortens every one of your shots.
Yeah, I mean, lengthens
the
the course. Sorry, I meant to say lengthens. Yeah.
So the question is, between the weather, the soft conditions, whether you got some muddy track on the outside around where the rough area is, might this course not play the way that they thought it was going to play when they signed up for it years and years ago?
If you're wondering, as we go through the week, we'll check off players yay, nay on whether or not they're favorites and good bets. Spieth has played a competitive Bethpage Black. He did so in 2016. It was the Northern Trust then, and we don't know if it'll be set up the same, but he finished tied for 10th in that tournament there. So he has played a competitive round on the tour on this course, non-major, of course, in the Northern Trust, but did finish T10. That was 2016 when he was a much different golfer. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Over 100 new Rogues and Altimas to choose from. At Craft Nissan, Pathfinders and Muranos are up to $8,000 off. And Titans, with America's best truck warranty, 5 years or 100,000 miles bumper to bumper, are up to $12,000 off. Seriously, at Craft Nissan, Memorial Day savings are today and every day this month, with huge savings all month long. Plus, Nissan is blowing away the competition with special low interest rates and rebates. You get both. No wonder Tallahassee is a Nissan town, a Craft Nissan town. And Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Interest rates with approved credit through NMAC.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Yuengling Golden Pilsner, a highly sessionable beer, golden in both name and color. Yuengling Golden Pilsner is the perfect balance of hop and malt character for crisp and smooth thirst-quenching refreshment. Cheer for your garnet and gold with Yuengling Golden Pilsner. Yuengling, brewing good times for 190 years. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly. A message from local beverage distributor Triangle Sales.
This is Lisa Brady. 17 years ago, I opened Lisa's Paint and Body to provide Tallahassee with an honest repair shop. Thanks to you, our customers, we have outgrown our current location and soon will be moving. Our new location is twice the size, easier access, state-of-the-art equipment, and the newest technology.
ASE and ICAR certified technicians. Personalized attention, guaranteed results. 2820 Mahan Drive. Call 385-2665. Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, MV46050.
Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram is the Jeep headquarters of America. We've purchased over 100 Jeep Renegades, and they've all arrived and are on the lot for immediate delivery. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude with MSRP starting at $25,120. On sale now for $18,870. That's a savings of $6,250. A new Jeep starting at only $18,870. Those prices are unheard of and can only be found at your Jeep headquarters of America, Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. No other dealer can offer you this kind of savings.
We buy in mass quantities and pass along the savings to you. 2018 Jeep Renegade Latitude, starting at $18,870. Payments as low as $299 a month. On the corner of West Tennessee and Capitol Circle, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Check us out on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. All prices include rebates and incentives plus tax, title, and dealer fee. State number 18J605. Must finance through Chrysler Capital and qualify for all rebates and incentives.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Do you not find it to be absolutely bizarre that John Beilein would leave Michigan to coach the Cleveland Cavaliers? I had to double check when I saw that and say, well, why? He's coached at Michigan since 2007. Obviously, he's been a very good basketball coach. He's won, as they say, at every level he's ever coached at: high school, junior college, Division I, Division II. Has been a head coach for a long time. And that brings me to that first point. A long time. He's been coaching for a long time. As in, homeboy is 66 years old, rolling into the NBA. Okay. Relatability?
I have no idea.
How's that going to go?
I've got nothing. Well, yeah, I think we all know how it's going to go.
How's that going to go?
Unless they win the lottery and get Zion or something.
I mean, my goodness gracious. I think that is a weird choice. Now, I'm not questioning the chops. He's a great basketball coach, a Hall of Fame basketball coach. But my man, this is going to be an interesting one. I think about this. Was there not a reference earlier this year in the last basketball season that Beilein was entertaining the idea of retiring? I'm fairly certain I remember at least whispers pointing to the fact that John Beilein, who looks 87 years old, like he wanted to retire or was getting close to it. And who could blame him? He's got more money than he could possibly spend, one would think.
In having a couple of friends who really root for Michigan basketball and Michigan sports in general, I believe their number one concern was retirement, not the Cleveland Cavaliers.
No. Now, if you're a Michigan fan, it is disconcerting because he's been great, and you don't want to lose a guy like that who's most notably, I think, recognized as a great strategist, a great X's and O's guy, a guy who gets most out of his players. He was 12 years at Michigan. He was great. He gave his thanks to the fans, the alums, the leaders, the players, the students, all of that stuff. Mentioned that it had been a heck of a ride and forever go blue. That's great, but that's a tough loss if you're Michigan. That's a real good coach. I think it'll be really difficult to replace him. And if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, okay, great. We lured John Beilein away from Michigan. Great.
So, I looked at NBA.com just to get the lottery odds for the upcoming, I believe that's this week, right? Maybe tomorrow. But it's the Knicks, Cleveland, and Phoenix all have 14% odds at landing the top spot. So Cleveland, is likely to get a really good player because this top five in this draft is quite good. So I don't know. Youth movement, teach them how to play a two-way game. That's got to be the thought process there.
So we're going to take the 66-year-old.
Man, I never said I agree with it. That's their line of thinking.
As for who would go to Michigan, well, I would think it's a popular place. It would be they have the resources, the successes as of late to probably lure a number of candidates. A bunch of articles today citing certain names, big names even, that are out there. For example, former University of Florida head man, currently Oklahoma City Thunder head coach Billy Donovan, perhaps wanting to get back into the college game where he had greater success. He has been insistent that he wants to stay in the NBA and see it through, but is Oklahoma City on the cusp of doing anything anytime soon? I don't think so.
See what through?
His NBA run through? I don't know.
See what, Ray?
Yeah, what? Some other big names that might be out there. I don't know. There's certain, I don't know about big names, but You had names like Johnny Dawkins at UCF, for example, with the run that they had, and he is extremely well thought of. A lot of guys that have coached at smaller schools but are appearing to be on the rise. A guy like Ed Cooley at Providence and people like that. Billy Donovan was the biggest name that I heard out there that you would consider perhaps just to check. The NBA probably. Time is nigh, Billy. You would want to ride now. You're not winning anything in the West. Oh, by the way, that Denver team that just lost is set up to win for a long time. You get somebody that can play with Jokic for the next several years, you got problems. So Denver's going to be good for a while.
I'm not interested in the Michigan job. I just want to let everybody know that.
No, he's definitely not interested in the Michigan job, but I'm kind of curious.
It would be a great hire for Michigan, but,
I think if I were Billy Donovan, I'd take that job.
You want to coach Westbrook? I mean, you've seen it.
We already know.
You've seen it through.
Yeah, you have seen it through. No, you're not going to win anything. Golden State's going to be good next year. It looks like the Clippers are going to be really good next year, especially when they sign Kawhi Leonard. Denver's good for a long time coming. We'll see what Portland is. I like that team. It's a fun team. Peace.
Yeah,
it's time to ride. I'm going to Michigan.
Maize and blue.
Yeah, I would do it. Final hour, fourth coverage. Stay with.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Tallahassee. ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reporting Warriors star Kevin Durant will miss at least Game 1 of the NBA's Western Conference Finals against the Blazers tomorrow. 8 Eastern, ESPN Radio, ESPN TV, and the ESPN app. Durant likely will have his strained calf reevaluated Thursday. It's unlikely he plays in Game 2 Thursday night. Another NBA head coaching vacancy has been filled. Cavaliers have agreed on a 5-year contract with John Beilein to make the University of Michigan coach their new head coach. This according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. The 66-year-old Beilein, who's been entertaining thoughts about the NBA for several years, considered one of the elite teachers in basketball. So now Michigan begins its coaching search, and a potential candidate could be a former Wolverine, says ESPN's Seth Greenberg.
Juwan Howard, a member of one of the great Michigan teams of all time, who's an assistant coach in the NBA right now. Tad Boyle at Colorado, a very close friend of John Beilein's. Shaka Smart, as would probably Steve Wojciechowski, who is the head coach at Marquette right now.
Golf 3 days before he tees off in his first tournament since winning the Masters. Tiger Woods got to work early today at Bethpage Black, the site of this week's 101st PGA Championship. Tiger won the 2002 U.S. Open at Bethpage. This will mark the 6th time in Woods' career he comes to a major championship, not having played a tournament since the previous major. UFC star Conor McGregor no longer facing criminal charges in Florida for allegedly smashing and stealing a man's phone in March. Miami prosecutors dropped one charge of felony robbery and one of misdemeanor criminal mischief after the accuser stopped cooperating. NFL quarterback Geno Smith expected to sign with the Seahawks. He'll be competing for the backup job there with Paxton Lynch.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. Right on the corner and always right on the price. Check out the latest 2019 inventory at TallahasseeDCJ.com today.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. Appreciate you. I'm Jeff. That is Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live. Of course, via the streaming free. If you miss portions of the program, we set you up so that you can find it later on at your convenience. All 3 hours can be found on iTunes and also in our own audio vault. You can email the show if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at @JCameronShow. Utilize the WTSM app. That is good for all mobile devices. And, we're on YouTube. Hello, YouTubers. Good to see you. Same for you, Periscopers. I love your shirt today, Tom. I didn't tell you that earlier. That's a great shirt.
Well,
I don't think I've seen you wear it before. That's well done.
This was a gift. Yes, my lady went over with her mom to see the players this year in March, because obviously this is PGA Championship week.
It is PGA Championship week, which I'm pumped about.
Mother's Day weekend for a long time has been the Players' Week, but they decided to go because the weather was better, and they're both fans of golf, and they picked up a nice little shirt for me here. It's a Players Florida State University shirt.
Yeah, man. I'm going next year just to get the shirt. That is really, really nicely done. I like it. All right, so let's recap for a second, because obviously I mentioned some of these things, the stories, if you will, of the day in the first couple of hours. But for those just hopping in the car, let's restart with the weekend that was with Coach Martin. What we think is Coach Martin's final regular season game, maybe last regular season game, likely last game ever at Dick Howser Stadium, frankly, Mike Martin Field. An emotional weekend and an emotional day yesterday for those that stuck around and watch the tribute. I didn't go to the Saturday thing, that the roast, if you will, which I heard was well done. But so therefore I hadn't seen a message from his wife, Carol. They did it much in the same way, if you guys remember Mike Martin's message to the fans, to the university, and to the players and all of that at the beginning of the year. And it was beautiful. It was touching. And I'll just say this. Everything's been said. You know, he's responsible for over 70% of Florida State's wins in baseball history. It's ridiculous. He's won more games than any coach in any sport ever in college.
Well, if you look at how many wins we've had as an athletic program, I'm sure he's responsible for an absurd amount of
percentage
wins
of that in general.
of every sport we've ever played. Yes.
Yeah, it's nuts, right? So I thought it was beautiful, though. I will say this. I wouldn't purport to be a family friend. I know the Martins. I've covered them through the years, obviously, covered the program through the years. I know Mike Martin Jr. very well, tend to leave him alone during the baseball season so he can do his job and I can do mine. And that could be a dicey deal, right, where you have to criticize sometimes.
May have heard that once or twice.
Yeah, it could
live
be
on these airwaves.
It could be a dicey deal. That's across sport, by the way, when you have to criticize coaches or players, and then you run into them and see them, and you just hope that they understand that you have a job to do just as they do. But they've always been great to me. They've always been great, so that's not where I was going. They've all been really good to me. But she has always been a class act. I mean, the epitome of class. And I know, going back now over 20 years of going over to that stadium, that she, along with the rest of her family, has had to hear any number of times a lot of harsh commentary, and yet I've never seen her or any of them lose it. Now, he's largely beloved, largely lauded, and rightfully celebrated. But to never have a moment where you're human enough to crack and turn around and kind of be like, all right, that crosses the line. And she never did, and you always knew right where she was sitting, dignified, beautiful. So I was glad that on Mother's Day, as they played, that she got to be really a very large part of the celebration that was Mike Martin. And rightfully so. And he was right to point out all that she has meant over these years to him. So in that way, that's incredibly touching. And, all I can hope for now is that obviously this team, one last run, you make a go of it. It's a flawed team. I'm not going to change my tune about that just because it's an emotional time and a nostalgic time, even as we reflect, especially, I've been going to games over there since 91. And I have a lot of great memories. And I thought about it when they were playing the montage. I thought about a lot of my friends over the years are in that montage. The late, great Lee Bowen made up a large portion of the highlight reel calls. And every time I hear those, they make me smile. I reflect fondly. It's sad that he's gone, obviously. But if you're new to the show, Lee basically gave me my start and gave me an opportunity to do a show. And so every time I hear his voice and I think back on our conversations, the many lunches we had discussing Florida State baseball, both the highs and the lows, and he lived and died with it, And so I remember him coming down to the studio after a particularly tough losses in the postseason or even a regular season series against Miami or something, and we would lament decisions and go back and forth and challenge each other on whether Coach Martin did this right or Coach Martin didn't do this right, or Jamie Shoup or all the other cast of characters. And it was always a lot of fun. So when I heard him, that made me smile. Obviously, my good buddy Eric Llewellyn, who's been holding down the fort there as the play-by-play man for some time now at Florida State, that made me smile because I've known Lulu forever as well. And Tom Block and Chip Baker and all of their names and all of their voices heard throughout these highlight reels. So that part of it made me smile, made me grateful, reflective, contemplative. I thought of that. I saw the many highlights, obviously, some of which I had the privilege of being in attendance for, some of which I remember sitting on the edge of my couch for, some of which I remember running outside my apartment and jumping all around when I was in college, that kind of stuff. So that was really cool, too. And then I think in addition to all of that, just the fans, over the years, that has been a program that is defined by not only consistency and excellence on the field, but passion in the grandstand. Passion has really carried the day in a way that you just don't see in a lot of places across college athletics, especially not for college baseball. So it was good. It was good in the midst of a season that's somewhat disappointing. It's not over yet. And because they're not the team that we would hope them to be, in the sense that they're cruising to 40-something wins in a home regional, doesn't mean that you can't have great appreciation for and excitement for what took place in that career, of course, and maybe even what's still left to take place in some sort of a run. It could happen. It could very well happen that they get hot. We'll see. Maybe they get rolling, and the next thing you know, Florida State's shocking us all, and we're meeting up for a watch party and looking at a postseason.
Yeah, I don't have a multi-decade history with Florida State baseball, but I have a long enough one where I was here for Buster Posey, and he was like the superstar, the preeminent superstar on campus. Maybe he and Al Thornton in my time in undergrad. And what he was capable of doing when you had to have it most was, nothing short of amazing. And that was my undergrad experience. One of the highlights was the Ohio State game in the regional where we just beat the pants off of them. We scored nearly 30 runs in that game.
That was a mercy game.
But I've been to, and those regionals, oh my God, because as a student, you'd always be on the GA seats, and so it's 125
degrees.
And just brutal. And there would be times I just wouldn't go. I'd watch at the house so I could be only in 90-degree heat because, student living and air conditioning really don't go well together. But between that, the press box, the Section B animals, I sat with them on Friday. I wanted to go to one of his final three games. I went down to see my mom for Mother's Day, so I want to see one of those games. Bought the Mustard 11 shirt and the Sunday Gold, the more traditional nowadays Sunday Gold shirt. But being in the radio booth, like one of Tom Block's calls in that montage, I was working the board for back at the old place of employment. Yeah. And I had to capture that highlight. I was like, wow, we're going to remember that one. I didn't know it'd be on the montage years and years later.
Very cool.
But it's almost like that was the end of the season, and here is the encore. This is the encore that's upcoming. What can you do on the road against Louisville? What can you do in the ACC tournament? I saw Lulu tweeted out earlier today, Florida State could be anywhere between 1 and 7 in the ACC standings as we head into the ACC tournament based upon if we go up and surprise Louisville and what NC State does, all that stuff. And then you've got regional play after that. But to me, that's the encore. Yesterday was the finale of the act, and it was cool to see that it meant a lot to 11, too, that matters. Sometimes it doesn't mean as much to the person who's walking out the door because they're not happy about a situation, but you could tell this whole weekend meant an awful lot to him.
A lot of gratitude conveyed from him, his family, obviously, and the fans right back to him. So that worked well. I should note that in celebration of the weekend that was, where they swept, of course, is yet another ho-hum softball domination as the Lady Noles just continue to whoop ass. Sorry, they don't like to be called the Lady Noles. The women's softball team dominate yet again. They're just Noles. That's correct. I never meant it as disrespect, but rather a doff of the cap. I like ladies. I don't know about you, but that's my thing.
It's a term of respect, but hey, man.
I get it.
Seminoles are Seminoles.
Seminoles are Seminoles, indeed. So this time they run rule North Carolina 8-0. There's something wonderfully humiliating about ruling people in a championship. That's just crucial. That's just cold-blooded.
So I was out at dinner celebrating last Thursday night and had a little cause for celebration in the Lang household.
Yes, you did.
And
congratulations to that special lady friend who is awesome.
That's right. It wasn't anything like serious, but it was a good day. So the North Carolina families, and I think maybe a coach or two, were at that same establishment.
And did you tell them you're about to get run ruled?
They were kind of thumbing their nose at the rest of the conference. I was like, really? Okay. I know we're the number 2 seed, but okay. You just keep talking. Let's see what happens here.
A little 8-0 for that ass.
So when the 8-0 for that ass goes down, I just thought back to that dinner. I said, I hope you enjoyed supporting Tallahassee businesses. Thank you very much. Now get the hell out of here.
4th consecutive season, 5th time in the last 6 years for Florida State softball. The reigning, obviously, national champions. They are a top 8 seed, as one would figure they would be. We assume as much these days as the number 4 seed at 51-8. And they'll play at home on Friday against Bethune-Cookman. Comes in at 26-29. I'd like to believe we're going to win that. That's at 2:30. South Carolina and USF. USF, by the way, on the year 40-17. 2 other teams in the Tallahassee Regional. That begins at noon. All games of the weekend can be found on ESPNU. I know that for sure. So, again, a celebration as the softball team earns the number 4 national seed. It's, you think about just what we've grown accustomed to with this run. It does remind me of FSU baseball in the 90s. Now, it's its own thing, obviously, so I'm not trying to – but I remember having the same sort of assumptions about FSU baseball, at least as it pertains to the postseason.
Right.
Now, obviously, this team has won a national championship.
Yeah.
No, I get it. But in terms of just assuming national seeds, incredible regular season, guaranteed to be playing at home. These are the things I took for granted. The softball team, Coach Alameda and her staff have been so successful, and this has been such a prolonged run of dominance and elite play that now I'm at the place where I just kind of, softball season started. I'll see them in the postseason. Now, I know that's not going along for the journey. And I don't catch it. Somebody tweeted me last week and asked why I never talk about him. Well, I don't want to be two-faced here. I don't go to a lot of softball games. I don't catch a lot of softball games. Now, I'm not trying to say that they're not important. I just don't. I have a lot going on during the week where I'm watching my own son play baseball and going to other events, and so I don't catch a lot of those games. Hell, I don't catch as many Florida State baseball games in person as I used to before I had kids.
Yeah,
now, admittedly, thankfully, we can pull all these things up on computers these days thanks to the ESPNU family of networks and all of that. You can find these games. I used to live at that stadium. But I'm not going to kid you now. I don't live at that stadium. I'm married with 2 little boys. I'm at their games. I'll catch the games because I got a job to do when I come in here on Monday.
They've got full freaking seasons.
But yeah, listen, I'm not out the ballpark on a daily basis or even a weekly basis sometimes, depending on my home schedule. So I can't come in here and pretend like I caught a ton of FSU softball games. I know the principals. I've seen some of the games. Obviously, the stars are the stars, and I'll see that occasionally. But I don't spend nearly as much time over there as maybe some of the diehards do. So that's an answer to your question, sir. And the other answer to your question is it's only been really the last 3 years that I've even cared even a little bit about the softball team.
For me, it was last year. Last year in the postseason, I was going up to the corner pocket to watch.
We caught games up there together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to watch FSU Clemson in the ACC tournament because they had it on the smart TVs. So they could get it on one of the big TVs, smart TVs, go get some dinner. And on the main TVs was the softball regional. They were playing LSU. I've been an hour in.
Freaking game that turned out.
An hour into that, I'm not even caring about what the hell's going on in the ACC baseball tournament. I'm watching Florida State, LSU. I am locked the hell in. And from that point on, I was hooked. To the point where this week, you get regional play in Tallahassee. Not going to be baseball in all likelihood, but it's going to be softball, and hopefully we get a super next weekend. We're a national seed. I'm going to go. I'm not going on Friday. It'll be hot as hell, and we'll get a lightning delay because that's what happens in regional weekends, and it's 2:30 against Bethune.
Happens, yes.
But over the weekend, you bet your ass I'm going to go. I can't wait. I'm looking very much forward to it.
So, by the way, this is an incredible time for Florida State athletics. Obviously, Florida State has a crucial series on the road against Louisville coming up in baseball. The aforementioned softball that we just talked about. The golf team is on the road starting today. It's happening right now.
Got off to a good early start,
Well, a real good early start. They're -8. They lead the pack in that regional right now. As I speak to you, they're at Myrtle Beach. They're playing Monday through Wednesday. Obviously, this is near and dear to my heart as I co-host a show with my friend Trey Jones, the head golf coach at Florida State. This is a huge deal, the postseason. Obviously, you want to the top 5, if you're wondering at home, are the ones that advance. So you don't have to finish first in this regional, but you do have to finish in the top 5. Florida State currently leads that regional at -8. They lead it by a stroke. So you can check the live scoring. Lots of ways to do this, but go to Seminoles.com. They'll have the link there. Florida State's at 8 under. I know that Illinois is at 7 under. They haven't finished up the rounds yet today. So this is ongoing as we speak to you. That's the last I checked it anyhow. I'll check back before the end of the hour. So cross your fingers because it's a good regional. If you're wondering about ranked teams, you got a top 25 Illinois team, a top 20 Texas Tech team, a top 5 Wake Forest team. You got plenty of teams that could be stiff competition. Florida State's 27th going into this regional. This was not a banner regular campaign.
No, I found it interesting, though. I was looking at the score.
Cal is 10th, by the way.
I was looking at the scorecard on GolfStat today, and that's not a long course they're playing out of Myrtle Beach. My guess is because of wind conditions that are typical out there, but it's only 6,900 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, for college kids, they can bomb it now. They can play those at 7,300, 7,400. The new course that Nicholas is building is going to be played at ridiculous yardages.
Well, they have it set up so that you can play it at a lot of different distances. The tournaments that they host, you're right, will be long, but not for the everyday guy.
Oh, of course not. No, but I mean, the tips, you're beyond the tips. But if you're going to play just only at the tips, not beyond the tips, I mean, you're talking about 7,300, 7,400 yards. That's what they were estimating.
Yeah.
So for this course to be that way, I find it, maybe it's beneficial for Florida State.
Well, you got to be able to shape the golf ball, and you got to be able to really dominate with your short game. I talked to Trey about that. He prides himself on 100 in for his team, and their best player, John Pack, is not long. He's not short for his size, but he's not long, and he just makes a lot of putts and is really, really good from 100 in. And so if you're going to make hay, a smaller course, you can certainly do that here. They have some guys that can hit a long way. They're the more inconsistent players. His better players aren't as long, but they fire at pins. And I don't know what the weather is right now up there, but apparently it's conducive to scoring.
Well, and then obviously you had the FSU women's golf team finish. I believe it was second in the regional last week, but so that is a comfortable advance to the NCAA championships. Which once you get, they're doing a little bit of extra Golf Channel coverage right now with the bottom line and stuff. So if you're watching PGA Tour coverage this week live from the PGA Championship up at Bethpage, all that stuff, you'll see little things on their bottom line about the regionals and maybe some little short videos, but not live coverage like they'll have in just about a week's time for the women, and then the men after that on Memorial Day. I think it's Memorial Day Monday through Wednesday.
Yes, and I'm nervous. I mean, I'm excited because, listen, last year was disappointing for them. I know they're excited about what's going on this year. They think they've got the kind of squad to make a run here. So
well, and moreover, now they're, at least through a day, they look like they're in good early position to come out as a team and go to nationals. But then there's also John Pack.
John Pack individual,
as an individual. And that dude is, he's a finalist for the Player of the Year award.
Haskins Award, yeah.
He is nasty. So hopefully, at the very least, you get one guy, if not the whole team.
So it's cool. You have so much going on involving Florida State. A lot of times, national stories are what capture our attention, and because we refuse to be beholden to a singular subject on this show, so much so that I often can spend 30 minutes at a time not even talking about sports, it's cool to have a week where you can fall back on something that is a central theme most of the time during the course of the year in Florida State athletics, because let's not forget, Willie Taggart will make his way this week over to Amelia Island, where usually it's customary that a coach takes some time to sit down with the press. I know Ira Chaffel will be over there, so we'll maybe get some comments about the state of the program. They've had real success recruiting. He's probably got a lot to boast about right about now, and college football kind of coming back into our mindset a little bit here in May.
I think this would be an opportune time for, obviously, they had the Coburn athletic director development, removing the interim tag happened, so there'll be some comments about that. But this would be an opportune time to reinforce the fact that we need money for the football facility and also the plea for season tickets. I would think this is a good chance to stump for that in a more regional sense than the local booster tours.
Don't know that it'll do any good, but that's the area we keep talking about where you can say it, but you got to do it on the field, and then that will translate into dollars. We know that. Maybe I'm anticlimactic in the sense that I should do a better job, admittedly, of having a more wide-ranging discussion when things are finalized. But because we knew all along that Florida State wasn't going outside of the administration to bring an athletic director, the finalization of him becoming the athletic director didn't raise an eyebrow to anybody.
Okay, so no, but it raised a lot of eyebrows for fans, and I don't understand that. Like, this was always going to, I mean, listen, we're not the only Florida State media that you can consume, but that's how we've talked about it ever since he was named interim, was that he's sticking around until Thrasher's gone. Because you who wants to come here in that situation with a new president coming in the door?
Nobody.
And what president in turn wants to bring in somebody who the next guy has to deal with, considering that John Thrasher may have wanted to make more decisions for himself when he first got here?
Yeah, so I raised my eyebrows at the kind of consternation you're referencing online. Now, online can be a weird place, and it can obviously be a sounding board for a vocal group of angry people, or happy people for that matter. All I would say is that I'm careful not to think that that is the norm. I used to always kind of react to that. Not everybody is keenly aware of the stuff that is going on behind the scenes, and I make certain assumptions that I shouldn't make. That job was always going to be his if he wanted it. Now, that was it. That was the whole thing. It wasn't. He didn't need that job. He didn't necessarily want that job. They asked him to hold down the fort for the time being. The question was once he started doing that job and made decisions within that role, would he like it? Would he want to continue to do it? Would he decide, this isn't my thing, I don't want to do this, I don't like the responsibility of this, it's outside my purview, it's not what I want to do? Or would he agree to continue on the job as we make this transition from one president to the next, and then that president obviously will come in and hire his own athletic director, unless he's really happy with Coburn. We'll see. I mean, I don't know.
I think Coburn would want to get out the moment that he has an opportunity to do so when Thrasher's done. I mean, listen, I know he's a numbers guy, but if your principal job is to make sure that we are more financially solvent,
These are moves, though, I will tell you, Tom, that have largely already been made.
That's pulling teeth, though. What a job that is.
Agreed, because you're never going to be liked. But the scuttlebutt around that, behind the scenes amongst administrators, amongst coaches, amongst those directly affected by budget cuts, already happened. It's the stuff that you hear fans responding to now, that's late. This has already been in the game. This has been the modus operandi from the day he became the interim athletic director. So really, there's not anything that's surprising anybody behind the scenes. It also doesn't mean there haven't been wide-scale cuts to football. I mean, our recruiting budget isn't slashed. It's not like if they can't go out and compete on the same level as the teams they're tasked with beating.
No, if I read one of the long forms he did with, I think it was both Warchant and TDO got him at the same time, he said something to the effect of, I wanted to make these cuts, but at the end of the day, they don't really do much. It's kind of a drop in the bucket.
Correct.
So, I mean, we've got to do a better job of other things, like looking forward.
We've got to do a better job of getting people into the damn stadium.
Right,
That's
scheduling better opponents, fan experience, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, the bottom line is, man, we can summarize all of this. They got to win. That's all there is to it. The answer to the question is win. It's always about winning. Now, there are things you can tweak, as he's noting. You can do a better job long-term of scheduling, at least for the home games in the odd years, in a better way that's more enticing, that might lure a few more people to buy season tickets. But even that doesn't work if you're 5-7. Doesn't. Nobody's like, you know what, sign me up. We're playing Georgia in a few years.
Right.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Well, how many people have forgotten about that already? The fact that we did sign a deal with Georgia.
Yeah, and they're looking to do more. But that's none of that matters. If you don't win games, people stop coming. Ask Florida. After their 4-8 campaign and some of the other sorry-ass seasons, people stop coming. And we're looking around the stadium, where the hell is everybody? We used to sell this thing out well, you're not winning. That's what happens, and it's especially true here because it's harder to get here. We're not as old a university. We don't have as many alumni, all that stuff. Our airport sucks ass. So all that stuff is, sorry about that, but all the that's my passion.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so
you were once for a paint job, I was once for a club level, and you've been for the airport. If you get the airport,
I'm retiring.
You should retire.
I should.
And they should call it the Cameron Memorial Airport.
They should. I don't know why it's got to be a memorial. I'm alive.
It's a living memorial.
The NBA could not have delivered a greater 1-2 punch than the Game 7s we saw yesterday, nor could they have delivered a better ending to the Houston Golden State series on Friday night. So that is what I'll have the great pleasure of talking about when we return. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Sociales, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday Collegetown deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
We're back with a state champion. That's right, a state champion head coach. His name is Titus Nixon. He is the basketball coach at St. John Paul II Catholic High School. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing great, Tom.
So I've got 2 questions, and the first one I'm going to ask you about is the state championship. What made this year, this team so special?
If I had to use one word, I would say resiliency. We preach that word from the first day of practice, that no matter what happens, we as a group need to stick together, and we need to form a brotherhood that is so tight that nothing can break us. And our group was talented, but I think what made them so special is that they were resilient when things got hard. Instead of severing and breaking apart, they instead came together even stronger. And then also selfless, that this group put the team above themselves in a way that I have hardly ever seen in sports, whether it be on the high school, college, or pro level. And I think that's what made this year's 2019 state champions at JP2 so special.
It sounds like even though you built a culture, a championship culture at that, at JP2, it doesn't just come from the basketball program itself.
JP2 is a wonderful family environment. It is a school that prides itself in helping students develop and form in mind, body, and spirit. It truly is a family atmosphere.
For more information about athletics, academics, student life, visit sjpiichs.org for St. John Paul II Catholic High School.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com.
Hendrick. It's the Hendrick Memorial Day sales event all month long at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC. Huge selection, huge savings. Like the 2019 GMC Sierra 1500, up to $12,000 off MSRP. Over 71 to choose from. Ready to ride. We are professional grade. So stop by today at 1850 Capitol Circle Northeast or visit Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC.com. Not all vehicles will qualify for maximum discount. Must finance with GM Financial plus tax, title, license, dealer installed options, and dealer admin charge. See dealer for details.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Funny story. People do have a good sense of humor, at least. I went to yesterday evening, well, early evening, dusk, if you will, Tom, the end of the Parade of Homes. There's Parade of Homes this past weekend and then again next weekend. And I'm looking for ideas, doing stuff, you know. I'm looking around these different places, either to make improvements in my home or to move out of my home and all that. And so the wife wants to go look at places to see what new innovative things are going on, right? Like, well, do you like that flooring? Do you like that porch? Do you like this and that? Should we add this to our house? Should we move? Should we do all these things? And I don't mind doing that. I don't love doing it, but I don't mind doing that. The first house we walked into yesterday, one of the gentlemen, the group attempting to sell said home, or at least the ones that built it, said, James Harden is the best player in the NBA. First guy when I walked through the door. And I looked up and thought, well, this is going to be miserable. And I said, please don't start. Please don't start. I just want to look at the house. And then they laughed and came over and said hello. Two gentlemen, both huge Rockets fans, who probably did not want to see me, definitely didn't want to hear from me. So I certainly couldn't rub it in. I mean, at the end of the day, if you look big picture here, there's no shame in losing to Golden State. It's a dynastic run. They are an elite franchise that is on the cusp of winning yet another NBA championship, and so nobody's been able to beat them. It's not just Houston. Nobody's been able to beat them.
Right, and nobody's really claiming that Houston's a better team.
They're not. No, they have a style of play they have to utilize in order to give themselves a fighting chance that I find repulsive. I hate watching them play. I don't blame them for doing it. As I said last week, you have to do that if you don't have the better players. They don't. They don't have the better players. And I think they also get hurt by a couple of things. This is true. This has been going on in the NBA for a long time. Maybe not that style of play. But when you play in a regular season, team comes in, play them that night. They could be on the back end of a 3-game roadie. They got a flight to catch and another game either the next night or the night after. They're not hyper-focused on what you do. They've got sort of a cursory game plan matchup-wise to what they know you to be and how much time they have. And also it has a lot to do with how healthy you are that given night, what kind of rest you've had or not had. So when you get into a 7-game series, the benches get shorter, stars have got to be stars, and they figure out how to play you. Okay, so this is what he's doing to us. We're going to guard it differently. We're going to start changing up what we do here. And then it's up to you to obviously adjust. Sometimes if you have the personnel, you can. Sometimes you don't. And so it's not surprising to me that maybe what Houston does during the regular season allows Harden to go crazy and have an MVP regular season. And since, by the way, the MVP is voted on before the playoffs and is about the regular season, Harden should win MVP. There was a stretch where they were so banged up, they weren't even going to make the playoffs if he didn't go nuts. And he went nuts to get them to where they could. I do not begrudge him that. So when you hear me criticize him and his style of play and all the flopping and trying to buy calls and creating contact and leaping forward by 20 yards, all the stuff I rip him for, which I don't apologize for, I don't blame him. A, if you can get away with it in the regular season, do it. B, he had to carry his team because they were banged up for much of the season. I got no problems with it. And if you do that to the level that he did, sure, you can win the MVP. But it doesn't necessarily translate when you get into a series of 7 games and they can hyper-focus on taking things away and forcing other guys on your team to have to be something they're not. And so it's not shocking that they keep losing this. And they've done as good a job as anybody of trying to steal a series. They've almost done it. It's just ISO basketball. It's running down the clock. It's shooting a gazillion threes in the hopes that it offsets their lack of skill person to person, roster to roster, right? They've got a couple of unique players. They don't have the roster that Golden State does. For that matter, nobody does. Nobody has Golden State's roster. So fast forward to them losing at home. Now, this is especially a difficult pill to swallow because KD is out, and everybody assumes you're going to win that game and at least force a Game 7, which we all know anything can happen in a Game 7, right? Maybe you catch fire and somebody goes nuts and drops 40. Look what just happened with Portland. Obviously, you get a player having a career night, McCollum goes nuts, and all of a sudden you're like, well, good Lord, if he's going to drop 35 and that's the best game of his life, we can't beat that. So you just got to force a Game 7. So the fact that they lost at home is certainly disconcerting. The fact that the game before, their 2 stars went completely missing in the fourth quarter, disconcerting. A lot of problems with that. It makes you wonder what they'll do moving forward. They could end up deciding to stand pat, I guess, because at the end of the day, they could argue that Golden State's not going to be the same team because Kevin Durant's going to go to New York or wherever he's going to go, and maybe they'll have enough in the tank.
I got to say, if I'm a Houston fan, my gloves are up. I'm waiting. Where is this smugness coming from?
There's no smugness right now because I'll just say that now, while they certainly had some curious possessions late, seems to be fairly consistent with the James Harden-led team.
Oh, there it is, 6 minutes in.
But all of that said, I think it's better, and I wish I had had the gumption. I had had the moxie, the temerity. I wish I had done it. But Golden State were 7-point underdogs going into that game, and I didn't pull the trigger on the +7. I should have done it.
Should listen to AC/DC.
Pull
the trigger.
I should have, Tom, because here's what I'll tell you. It's fairly obvious, and I think it's pretty cool, and it was a healthy reminder, that team, and I guess you would say the core of that team, wanted to remind everybody, we won championships. We won. This thing goes back to 2015. This wasn't all Kevin Durant. We were some badasses. Our spacing, our ability to light up and hit threes and to get to the basket.
This was a lucrative development for Klay Thompson because if the owner goes out publicly after a series win and says that I want to keep both of these guys as Warriors for life, and you're looking at a max deal, well,
yeah,
hello. I guess I'll be staying in Oakland, I'll be San Francisco.
But Klay did some of the things that remind you of why he's not just a shooter. You can see the way they play. He's able to get shots. He's able to create. He's able to get to the basket. And Steph in the second half to drop 33 after scoring nothing is another reminder of his greatness when he gets right, when he has to be the guy. He is, at one point, the best player in the NBA. He's not anymore, but he was the best player in the NBA for a brief time. And his understanding of their offense and creating that space and getting shots off the dribble and creating space in those moments. And then, obviously, you go through and look at, for me, even guys I have great distaste for on that Golden State roster at times, Draymond Green, has been a much better player in this postseason than he was throughout the course of this regular season. He's kind of the lost guy because Durant dominates games, and so he's kind of, he fancies himself a star as well, but they don't need him to be. And so it's frustrating because you watch him, you're like, come on, man, just defer. Remember earlier this year, Durant and him got in an argument at the end of a game because he refused to pass the ball. And Durant was over there going, give me the ball. And afterwards, everybody's kind of looking around like, hey, man, you don't have it like Kevin Durant. You need to give him the ball when he wants the ball, and he didn't seem to want to accept that. But in the postseason, he's accepted it. And then Durant goes out, and you see the game he plays. He's back to being in a more comfortable role.
Yeah.
They just reminded everybody that this hasn't all been about Kevin. They shot basically a double middle finger to Charles Barkley, who said as soon as Durant went out, the series was going to go to Houston and that they couldn't win it without Kevin Durant, because that was short-term thinking. I mean, lest he forget what they did without Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I guess he thinks that some of the pieces are over the hill, or the better days are behind him. But
Iguodala's still good.
But the funny thing here is that they'll probably be able to fake it through the Portland series. And so when's their next real test? Let's just say Durant's not available for the rest of the playoffs, just for argument's sake. And maybe he is. And the calf strain in the past, I think, had him out for anywhere between a week and a month. So let's just say he does not come back. I mean, Houston might not be the biggest challenger, but they were the biggest challenger left in the West. So how many games do they really need to play in which it's true? They revert back to their 2015 form where everything, it's the beautiful basketball game all over again. Like 5 more times? Maybe? And they could win the title.
Yeah.
And then they all cash in for another payday, and they say, let's do this again.
Yeah, Durant will leave, though. I mean,
without him. I'm not talking. I'm talking about
yeah.
these guys who are capitalizing on the moment to prove once again that, hey, we were fine without him, and we'll be fine without him.
I think that they relished it. I could be wrong, but watching the way they played that game and the joy that you saw them express before the game was over, I mean, they were having fun playing basketball again. I don't think those guys like deferring to Kevin Durant. They get it. Durant is a superstar, the best player in the game.
Right. It's not like you're mad at KD. It's just you're mad at the narrative. I don't think they dislike him.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think Draymond would be the extent of that. I don't think Steph Curry dislikes KD. I don't think Klay Thompson has a problem with KD. That would have come out by now. Nobody keeps a good secret in the NBA.
No.
You know about everybody's dirty laundry.
Yeah, I think Durant can be difficult. He can be moody. He can be probably less than easygoing.
Outside of the Cleveland Cavs signing Beeline, that's about the only secret. Excuse me. Forgive me for that. That's one.
But I would tell you that I guess you're probably right. I mean, look, at the end of the day, they had already proven they were champions without Kevin Durant. That's why everybody was so mad when Kevin Durant signed, was that he was just chasing an easy ring because it was already in place. It was turnkey, as it gets. But then somewhere along the way, in winning the MVP and putting up the numbers that he did in the finals, it became his team. And slowly but surely, their style of play changed, really, to defer to him at all times late in games when they have plenty of other guys, obviously, who had proven themselves. Understandably, when you have a guy who's transcendent like that, who makes impossible shots on the regular and isn't afraid, and he's not, it's going to happen. But I think they did relish the opportunity, certainly, to go back to the way they played and to have the kind of, I think, what for in the last 4 minutes of a game that was their calling card in the past. I mean, Steph was having a blast. That look on his face.
Are you talking about Game 6?
Yeah.
Because I'd say in Game 5 they relished the opportunity too. Even though there's a shock factor of him walking off the court and the home fans are...
Yeah.
No, there's a rediscovery process. You could see it. You could see it in Game 5 when they went and finished that one. Because the game's close when KD goes down. It's not like that they were up. They were up 15 right and then it got close because he went out with injury.
No, you're right.
Harden got it to 1.
Well, and it's the difference is that I think when you have time to prep, and that sort of the idea that Houston would make the adjustment to take advantage of the matchup that they couldn't before, and it didn't happen.
There was zero pressure on Golden State though in that game. Now, if Houston had won Game 5, I think the shoe's completely on the other foot. I don't think there would be any pressure on Houston to close out Golden State in that moment. I really don't. But since Golden State had won Game 5, I mean, just you're footloose and fancy free, and you've got that much talent. And you guys know each other, and you probably like playing with each other more.
They just hit some shots that just blow me away. Absolutely blow me away. Guys should not be able to shoot like that. That's why I didn't go all in on killing Houston. I mean, it made me laugh because I hate their style of play, and I'm glad they're gone. But nobody else can beat Golden State either. If you're going to hit shots falling into the stands from just this side of the half-court line, well, okay.
I just really like Milwaukee. I'll root for whoever the Eastern Conference team is, and if Kawhi beats the Bucks, but Jesus, okay, fine, man.
He might.
I don't know.
Remember this, though. Toronto rested Kawhi to the tune of 70% of the games. They did their whole load management. Yeah. So even with that, go look at their regular season record alongside Milwaukee's regular season record. And Milwaukee wasn't resting anybody. So Toronto was right there all season long. And, well, we get lucky. You
get two good defensive teams, though. It may not look pretty, people. So but I think the Eastern Conference Finals is going to be fantastic, but it just may not look pretty. They both play D.
I purposely saved this last segment coming up just because he's been beat up enough back there. Young Matthew had to watch the first ever Game 7 buzzer beater in NBA history. Not one shot off the rim, not two, not three, but 4 bounces off the rim. That's as agonizing as it can possibly be.
No, I caught the whole Game of Thrones while it was bouncing on the rim.
Come back and wrap it up and talk about that in a second.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
right, I didn't give myself a lot of time. Still have to get probables out there. There are games to wager on after all. I mean, watch. Later on this evening, touch on them momentarily. First, let's go back to Kawhi Leonard. You know what I didn't know? Kawhi Leonard's hands are 9.75 inches long from the base of the palm to the tip of the middle finger, 11.25 inches wide from the thumb to the pinky. They account for more than a quarter of Leonard's absurd 7'3" wingspan, offering him the defensive radius of a center with a swingman's frame. That from The Ringer I read this morning. Did you know that he once held his hand up to Shaquille O'Neal during Inside the NBA, and his hands are as big as Shaquille O'Neal's?
I did not know that, but I did know that he had giant monos because my girl's a Spurs fan, and that's like, it was a sideshow thing. It was kind of like it was Michael Ojo's shoes, that type of storyline.
Yeah, that kind of a storyline.
And then Doris Burke on the call in Game 6 would not stop talking about them, and it was a little uncomfortable, I got to say. Doris had to...
She was excited about this.
Very excited. Very, very excited about the hands.
That's the second time that I've had somebody reference a reporter of the female persuasion talking about, in all of its glory, the size of Kawhi Leonard's hands.
You know,
been brought
once or
up more
twice,
than
and you're like,
once.
she's right, man. That guy's got monster monos.
Those are big
and
hands.
Then 5 minutes later, she's like, again,
Look at those
the
hands.
shot. People, you've got to understand.
Okay, this is getting uncomfortable. Let's move forward here. We understand the code working here. Got it. He's also good at basketball. Can we just say that?
I mean, do you want to work the combine too? And you want to say, did you see what I saw there?
Let me just say this.
It wasn't just a 40 time.
I bring all of that up because I read that this morning and I thought it was funny, but I also didn't realize it. I didn't realize it. And I also did. I thought more about it. It makes sense with that wingspan. It's not just his hands. It's his wingspan, 7'3". How he could get the shot off over Embiid. It's crazy. Like, how do you even get that shot off? Well, then when you hear that, you realize because that's he can. His wingspan is that long. Look, I've said it all already today. The Sixers have some questions to answer because they got 3 key free agents. They got to figure out whether or not they want to fire Brett Brown. Those empty possessions at the end of the game were something to behold. They were almost all shot clock violations, and if they weren't, they were steals at the end of the shot clock when they would have been shot clock violations. So that's going to raise an eyebrow. Embiid's out of shape. I've been saying it for some time now. He's exhausted. He refuses to set up on the block in the fourth quarter because he's too tired. He also settles for pick-pop jumpers. Come on, man. You're 7 foot whatever. Get down in the block. Secondly, always with his hands down on his pants because he's beat. Out of shape. Go get in shape. I don't know if that's the coach's fault. He's a superstar. He probably can't turn your back on him. You can argue that maybe that body doesn't last if he's not going to get in shape. I don't know. It's something that's always ailing him.
Sounds like they need Joe Torre.
Sounds like we should all really appreciate once again how freaking good Kawhi Leonard is. Good God. The numbers in these playoffs put him in rarefied air. That is, enjoy it. And he's going to be a Clipper next year. Poor Toronto. They better win it all.
Doris Burke would say, well, if his hands are any indication of how great he is in NBA history, he's one of the all-time greats.
Oh, let's do probables. Here we go. Fire away.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
By the way, that's not a bad Doris Burke by you. I didn't see that coming. You even had the tonality there. There's a pretty good Doris Burke in
Doris
you.
Burke is a legend.
I love her. But I'm saying you got a little Doris Burke in you there. That's good. I didn't think you could get there. You're good at imitations. I know that. It hit me as the music started.
I kind of have the same tone of voice. I don't have the deepest voice in the world, so I can go there.
You got it. You nailed it. Orioles, Yankees, David Hess, Jonathan Loaiziga. Freddie Peralta for the Brewers and Aaron Nola for the Phillies. We've got Brad Peacock of the Astros taking on Matthew Boyd for the Tigers.
Old show contributor Chris would have had no chance at a Doris Burke impersonation.
No chance. Tyler Skaggs goes for the Angels. Jose Barrios, who's good, goes for the Twins. He's fun to watch pitch. Indians, White Sox, Shane Bieber, Ronaldo Lopez, Nick Kingham going for my Buccos tonight. By the way, the Pirates, 3 games over 500. Took the Cardinals to the shed this weekend. D-backs will throw Robbie Ray because, of course, finally A's, Mariners, Mike Farrs fresh off a no-hitter. UC Kikuchi going for the Seattle Mariners, and that's a look at those that shower is out of the bump.
Feet on the ground, head in the sky.
All right, that's that. Good work out of you, Tom Lang. Way to hang in there, Matthew. All that basketball talk. Sixers will get past that second round at some point. I say that endearingly.
I just let that breathe.
Well, I mean, our Lightning got swept in the first round. We've all endured these kinds of things.
We did. That's happened. That has happened. You talk about coaching for a 7-game series. You know what? Let's go another half an hour.
Peace. Have a great night.